All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 57. And it's a glorious Easter Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. I'm very excited about our very special guest. We've got Atari VCS, No Man's Sky to Xbox, Sea of Thieves, digital game rentals, maybe some ray tracing to discuss. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord who's not only a pioneer in the realm of gaming, but whose journey in this industry is one that truly demands tremendous respect. This Lord is a true gamer in every sense of the word, and his passion is always exemplified in everything he does, from his informative podcasts, developer interviews, let's plays, and retro recommendations with his amazing team, all done with high quality production value. Introducing the founder and host of the original Next Level Gaming podcast, the Lord of Gaming Journalism, E3 attendances, and our very own SEGA brethren at heart, making his long-awaited debut into the realm of the Lords. My man, Lord Stinger NLG. How are you doing, sir?
Oh my God, how do I follow that?
Woo, let's go.
Woo! Oh my goodness, man! You for a minute, man. I said he's talking about someone else. Not me. Oh my God, guys, it has been a long journey to get to the realm, and it is an absolute honor and pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Huge fan of you and watching NLG and
I
what you
am
guys do. And we had to get the Treaty of the Kingdoms, man. It has arrived.
indeed. I bring many greetings and Easter salutations from my humble crew.
No doubt.
And guys, let me tell you, I'm enormous fans of the Iron Lords as well. You guys are fantastic. I love your show. I love what you guys do, and I was very happy to become very quick friends with all of you. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here in the realm today.
Much appreciated. And of course, you're a Lord at what you do. So it's only right that we can show you that proper respect at the round table.
That is absolutely mutual respect, my friends.
No doubt. Absolutely. We got some fun today.
We are going to have a great time.
You know it.
I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Oh, yeah, man. So let's introduce those four horsemen of gaming. I don't know how long we'll have all four, but my co-host with the co-host, my brother from another mother, the difficult game conqueror, and the how of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict, how you doing, sir?
Nothing much. It's nice to be here. I'll probably have to leave in the next 5 minutes, but I stayed as long as I could.
Appreciate you, man. I didn't think we'd get you. I know you got a lot of responsibilities going on. You know what I mean? So we figure, we take what we can get. We're glad to have you, man. And of course, we have our most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience, and also the Sostradamus. Mr. Offline Profile Illuminati himself. My man, Lord Sovereign. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing fantastic. I was almost in Addict's boat as well, but since I couldn't get any gaming on yesterday because wifey was off from work, which I didn't know, so that my gaming was folded yesterday completely. But that earned me a reprieve today. So she went to mass and whatnot this morning, and she let me be. So,
so you was almost MIA too.
Oh no, yeah, I was right there. I was on the cusp.
Easter responsibility.
She took pity on me, man. She let me go.
Shout out to Lady Saw. God bless her heart. No doubt. And of course, we got the incredible Hulk of this, aka the Excess Gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions, demands nothing less than that premium experience, and is the Tiki Torch Extinguisher.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King, how you doing, sir?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing so fantastic. As you know, it was fight night yesterday.
All right, gotta go, you guys.
Drink was plentiful. Just go chase your rabbits and go poop out eggs.
He couldn't
Hey,
wait to roll it
you
down.
know, Lord Addict gotta go on an Easter bunny hunt. Go catch those eggs.
I gotta
baby.
go to eat food. I ain't doing the Easter bunny stuff.
Go get your little basket and go get your chocolates.
Yeah, I'd rather do all that to hear
You want some
the
chocolate?
update.
I'm telling you.
Addict,
Oh my god!
Addict, you looking for chocolates?
You,
He
Lord
saw
Kid.
boxing and ray tracing. He was like, I'm out.
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
No, just the way he opened that up, I was like, yeah, this is definitely gonna be longer than 5
Yes, definitely. But when they said we only had you for 5 minutes, I said typical. Typical.
He said that on the boxing segment.
Yeah, you know, listen. You know what I noticed? It's typical of this generation. They don't know when to talk, when not to talk.
Oh,
But I understand. Thank
Leave the
you,
youth
sir.
alone.
Go get your chocolates, your sweetness. Go get your sweetness. They got it downstairs for you.
What happened in combat sports, sir?
Let me tell you, man. Last night, oh boy, I anticipated last night. I don't know why I fell for the crap. Mr. Sensitivity, aka Anthony Joshua, the sweetness of boxing. Oh man, it was a production last night, fellas. It was such a production for the coronation of the sweet champ, aka Sweetness Anthony Joshua. He fought Joseph Parker. Shout out to the nice guy, Joseph Parker. It was a love fest last night.
Really?
After every round, they shook hands like a little dap.
Oh,
Smiled
no,
at each other all the way through. Listen, I like a little meanness in my fighters. I like my fighters to have a little, I'm trying to kill you in here tonight. I like my fighters to feel like they want to make sure that you never walk again, fighter. Shout out to the real champ, Deontay Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
The real champ. The champ that has a mean streak and he ain't shaking hands with you. When that contract is signed, he's designed to remove your spine out your body like Sub-Zero. All right? So I understand why Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn is such afraid of this man. This terrible man that will go in there and rip your head off your shoulder. He's trying to make sure that you're equivalent mess on the mat.
Jesus.
He wants you to be a highlight film. He's trying to make the ESPN highlight reel when he steps in the ring with you. This is his only goal, like he stated on what was it, The Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
He's trying to catch a body in the ring.
I'm done.
This is what he said. No, this is what shout out to Deontay Wilder. This is exactly what he said. Now, last night we had Sweetness in the ring, and Sweetness, the production was so terrible. You saw the ref was paid off. You saw the judges was paid off. Everything was in a fashion to coronate Sweetness over there. I want everybody to understand this is exactly what's going on today. Now we had a little situation on Twitter this week, fellas.
Is the church in session? Should we get everyone come to the front of the
Church is in
congregation?
session. Let's get the
All right,
congregation.
everybody
Let's
come to the
ring these bells. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. I want everybody to come up in front of the congregation, and I want y'all to listen up and tune into this, because last night, this is exactly what this generation is. Sweet. But these are older men. These are older men. This situation has gotten out of hand, fellas, and I thought I addressed this before. But obviously, me addressing the situation does not give you insight to my character. My character does not go off of...
What troubles you? What's on your mind?
The clicking up. Don't hang with him. Don't talk to him because he says some things about him and her. Stop that. I don't come from that. That is not in my DNA. I don't do secondhand beef, and I will not be part of this clicking up thing. You stop in the bag. You stop in the cash. You see, because when everybody's all inclusive, everybody eats. But when you separate and segregate and you start to talk about people behind people's back, how does that make you look? You are no better than the man that you claim to ostracize.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And
I want you to understand.
Finish
I want you to understand. We used to handle our business in the street. And I'm not talking about fighting. Because none of y'all out here fighting. You're dapping up like Sweetness last night in Parker.
They tweeting.
Yeah, all right. So you're not fighting. We used to settle it with quarters.
Yeah.
When we walked in the arcade, I had a problem with you. We fought. Mortal Kombat, whatever game. Pick it. Let's fight.
Let's go.
Shook hands. Had a cupcake or something afterwards. and we were good. We were good.
Told that
And
man to go get his chocolate. Now you're talking cupcakes.
You understand? Because today is about sweetness. Because we have sweetness on Twitter. I will not ever disrespect our female podcasters by referring to these men as women, because these women are stronger than men. Shout out to every last
shout out to the
woman podcaster that is on my team. Luca, Lady Bella.
Yeah.
All these women are strong women that have absolutely no problems online. I actually see a lot of men having problems with them. And I want to say, you guys are going to have to get it together.
Facts.
You guys are going to have to get it together. If you have a problem with a man, address that man. Play that man online. Play him on the game. Turn it into a sport. Let people see that we can rise above the pettiness, because it's petty.
Yeah, let me jump in right quick, because I want to double down on it. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, we all have this one single thread that brings us together, and that is gaming. That is what we all enjoy doing, right? So at the end of the day, this is a hobby. We're here to have some fun. And to your comment, King, I definitely seen the banter on Twitter. I seen the communications, and this is the thing. At the end of the day, the Iron Lord Podcast, we respect everybody. You know, if you do your thing and you're a lord in gaming, you're going to be in the round table, and we're going to have some guests that not everybody's going to like. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what brings us together is the common thread of gaming. We can't lose sight of that. I think that's what's happening right now. People lose sight of that, and it's all this clicking and high school mentality and don't talk to this one and don't talk to that one. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to have someone on the show you're not going to like. So get used to it, because we are all gamers. That's what we're here to do. Have some fun. If that's not your cup of tea, that guest, hey, maybe we just don't see you that episode, and hopefully you come back. Well, hopefully you don't even have to get to that. But thank you, Lord King, for the sermon. Any of yourself, anybody want to jump in?
I want to triple down on this.
Triple down, baby.
Yeah, because I want you to triple down on, and then I want you to explain to them that we're gaming agnostics. We are not conformed to Xbox or any system. If you have a better version of a game, best believe I'm buying it.
Go ahead, Saul.
I think what I need to say is just this. We appreciate all the support, all the love that we got from everybody.
Facts.
On Twitter, on YouTube, everybody who's been on our show, everybody who's liked our show, everybody who's spoken well of us. We completely appreciate that. At the same time, we need everyone to understand that at no point in time, we are all grown-ass men. Old grown-ass men. We are not
grizzled
at this point in our lives gonna succumb to peer pressure. Like,
facts.
This is what it is. It's peer pressure, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Like,
absolutely.
If you listen to anything that we've said over the past year or so or more that we've been this group as a podcast, and you've heard our stories about how we grew up and where we grew up, guys. We're here because we didn't succumb to peer pressure. Like, if you talk about King, myself, and Cognito.
Preach.
We grew up in the South Bronx in the 90s.
Exactly. All this Twitter beefing is not serious to us.
It is.
I'm trying to catch that accent though. My mother's from the Bronx.
Strong woman.
Yes. Oh, let me tell you.
So
I'll talk about it.
So I mean, this stuff is irrelevant to us. We're here because we didn't succumb to the very easy to succumb to peer pressure of the 90s in New York City, in the Bronx. Like, this was grimy. This was the definition of a hood. The archetype of hood was this.
Exactly.
And we did something different. We went left with it. And that's why we're here. So at no point in time is this stuff going to bother us.
Well, let me also, if I might.
Go for it, Austin.
Please.
So,
treaty time.
So, as even though I'm not technically the oldest person here, I am still right up there. And what people have to remember is we were here gaming long before Twitter. We were here gaming long before Facebook. Long before forums, long before these places where people could get on and act tough to each other from 5, 6, 7 states away.
Keyboard gangsters.
Exactly. Keyboard warriors is what we call them, right?
Using aliases as well.
Exactly. We will survive Twitter. So, you know, I left Twitter. I stopped last week. I check it now and again because that's how I got, you know, it's how I've been communicating with some people I know kind of in DM. But as far as the overall gaming Twitter, I don't need it.
I love
don't
it.
Need it.
I love it.
See, I can't. I'm of the mind that I have too much going on and not enough time to go through the drama and the nonsense.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing to build up a different way. And you guys, you guys are all part of, or at least if you're not invited, Cognito's got to give you the invite to the disc. We have our own Discord, and it's invite only. And it's just if you haven't gotten an invite to it, it's for a reason. I either haven't gotten to you yet, or you're just not what I want. And I'm of the mind that if I'm going to spend this much time talking to people and having a good time, I want to talk games. I want to talk about what's good going on. Yeah, of course there's complaints to levy against things we don't like, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But your opinion should be respected and allowed. And when that stops, I ain't got anything for you.
That's a great point.
And if the discussion needs to be had, then the discussion needs to be had.
Absolutely.
Not going behind people's backs, not trying to get people to rally against X, Y, Z person. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. One other thing I need to add to this. I mean, I know it's Easter Sunday. I'm looking at our chat, and I'm grateful for everyone who's here.
Absolutely, much appreciated on Easter, man.
It's not as popping as it normally is, and I'm gonna attribute it to Easter Sunday right now. But if it's not because of that, it's disheartening. It's disheartening, and again, if it's because of that for some people, go with God.
But here's the thing, LaShawn. I'm a quadruple down. We'll finish it up. We'll move on. And we got Lord Addict in the building. I want to comment specifically because of that, because at the end of the day, that mentality, like you said, that's not what got us here. Like I said, what brought us all together is gaming. We're having a good time. We're gonna have some fun. That's what it's about. And this whole click mentality stuff, like truth be told, like Lord Addict, that's my brother from another mother. If I was to apply the same mentality that I see out here in the social media and the Twitter and what's going on, me and him wouldn't be friends, because so many people told me, yo, don't mess with him. Don't, you know what I'm saying? And that ended up being one of my coolest and best friends ever. No one can tell me.
I told you don't mess with him.
You a fool. But on that note, like I said, I could be able to develop one of the best friendships I've had, over the last 2 years. And ain't nobody gonna tell me about that man right there. So you already know what it is, Lord Addict.
If you have to make your friendship with somebody else contingent on their friendship with somebody else,
oh yeah, facts.
Then you need to reovaluate what friendship means to you.
Absolutely,
you need to press the reset button.
Exactly. The treaty was finished and signed. We go move on. We go get into these games and a lot of fun. So of course it is the Shinobi gaming ninja himself, Lord Cognito.
Okay, wait, time out.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, though.
You gotta add the self-appointed or the self-anointed.
All right, let me tell you from this day forward, that Tiki Torch extinguisher crap, that is out of here.
All right, so
it's the Get Money Gamer.
All right, it's the Get Money Gamer. I got you.
All right,
I got you.
Get rid of that Tiki Torch crap. Since we out here naming ourselves, that Tiki Torch stuff is in the toilet bowl. Proceed,
And
sir.
on that note, we have an edit to Lord Sting's intro.
Man has a black belt in gaming.
Oh man, the realm of the ILP, not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So before we get into what the Lords are playing this week, I want to start off with Lord Stinger, his video game system history, his Sega love, his journey in IT, and as a journalist in the video game industry for over 15 years. And of course, what led him to the creation of the amazing NLG podcast. So Lord
Jeez,
Sting,
man, keep
let's-
talking about someone else's channel. Good
I
Lord.
got greatness in the building. We are going to
Oh my
respect it.
goodness. How? You see, look, man, I don't blush in front of other men, but what are you doing to me? Oh, man, I need to
it's
take
the
a
feeling
sip.
segment. It's the feeling segment, baby.
Make a
So let's start
grown
from the
man
beginning.
cry up in here, man. Come on. All right, so
Let's start from the beginning, Lord Sting.
Oh
Let's
my
start with the video game systems and the arcade. Where did you start, man?
oh my goodness. So I started probably when I was 7 with so I was born in the 70s.
Holla.
Yeah.
70s babies in the house. I'm with you.
No.
I'm with you.
I started off probably with my father brought home a Vic 21, so Lunar Lander. That was probably my first game ever.
Wow.
Wow.
I played stuff on like TI 99 4A.
Mm.
Had a little Pac-Man clone called Munchman. It was exactly stuff like that. And then I had Atari 2600. I grew up on Atari. Not just the 2600. I've had the Atari computer systems. I did a lot. Ran a BBS, an old bulletin board system on an Atari.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's some stuff.
Very impressive.
Let me tell you.
Wow.
So, my venture into my love of Sega though came by total accident. So
Really?
yeah, so I had gone through. I had an Atari. I had the actually also had an Intellivision, which turned out to be the system that I really liked more.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from there. Got a ColecoVision. The ColecoVision was unbelievable. To this day, I will still play that because
that was my first system too. My dad got me that. That was my first system. Mm-hmm.
And then you had the wheel. It was the first real system that had a steering wheel.
Yes.
You played
Didn't
turbo on.
Didn't it come with turbo? Yes.
Turbo.
Yes. Classic.
Yeah.
Remember that game? Mm-hmm.
And then it had this to show you how crossplay happened back then. It had an expansion slot on the front that lets you play your Atari 2600 games.
Yes, the expansion slot with the little lid on. Was it right hand
side? Flip up, pop it in. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You think a lot of this stuff happened recently, but man, we had voice back in the Intellivision days. We had
voice over IP.
Not over IP. It had a little cartridge slot.
Yeah.
IntelliVoice.
Yes.
Yeah.
17 Bomber. That kind of stuff. So as I went on, after Nintendo came out, I really wanted an NES. So Hanukkah rolls around. My father brings home a Sega Genesis. I was devastated.
Why was you devastated?
Absolutely devastated because I wanted Nintendo.
NES.
I wanted Nintendo was the thing. I wanted Nintendo, and so I was just angry, and I was like, how could you do this to me? He did because it was like, it's like you want something and your dad brings home the knockoff, right? Nintendo spelled with a 0 or something like that,
I got
And
back
so-
up. 1 second. One quick question. I get it because as a kid, I know you wanted what you wanted, but also, wasn't you at least impressed graphically?
So all right. So let me finish. Hold on. I'm getting there. I'm getting to my next sentence.
Okay,
So,
let's go.
My father was like, "Well, just try it."
Mhm.
So we did. We hooked it up, got it hooked up, and the pack-in game at that point, gentlemen, was
Altered Beast.
Altered Beast. I
Mhm.
turned it on, hit start, heard Rise from Your Grave, and I was like, "Whoa!" Started playing Altered Beast. And I forgot Nintendo existed.
Yep.
There was nothing from that point on that Nintendo could do. I was and as I got a little older, I worked for what's now GameStop, used to be called Games and Gadgets, and then called Electronics Boutique.
Boutique, yes.
So I
yes.
worked there. You want to talk about the biggest SEGA fanboy warrior? I would get in arguments. Oh, you and your Street Fighter. I got Mortal Kombat, bitch.
With the blood.
We got
with the blood.
with the blood. With the blood. You spit that white stuff out, man. I'm gonna play the real version. And
they had sweat over there.
Oh my god. It was I was horrible. That's why I hate what's going on now, because I remember what it was like being that horrible.
Yeah,
and I mean, but I was so, I SEGA CD. And I still got my collection, my 32X collection, and then the Saturn, and then the Dreamcast, and I sit and once in a while just ponder what happened to SEGA.
I know, man. It's sad. I know.
Happened.
I know.
I got the Saturn. I got what happened. I understand the mistakes they made with the Saturn, because I was in retail at the time. I was in the sales cycle of that. So I understood.
Gotcha.
But the Dreamcast was, man, in this day and age, you went from the PS3 making the mistakes that they made to Sony being able to completely bounce back with the PS4.
Facts.
SEGA didn't have that opportunity. They brought out a system with the Dreamcast that pioneered so much of what we play today, and they never got the chance to get past that, to get past the Saturn.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to see.
Yeah, because the system was such a phenomenal system. There were so many things they did right. And then I know we went back and forth on it with Twitter a little bit, but you made me reevaluate that launch lineup was amazing. Like,
it's untouched to this day.
It is. And I really, because me and I tell him, like, me and Sting was going at it. I was just like, because I was really impressed with the Switch lineup. I'm like, yo, they really had a great lineup. And Lord Sting's like, Lord Cognito, easy. He's like the Dreamcast lineup is the GOAT. And I'm like, I had to rewind. I had to go back in the crates.
You have to, because when you understand what
Ready to Rumble, Hydro Thunder,
Soul Calibur was in the launch lineup.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Games that you haven't even seen redone by other developers, like Power Stone.
Oh yes.
I mean, that game was so revolutionary in so many ways. That was Capcom's heyday.
Yeah, that was when they had their mojo.
Yes. Skies of Arcadia was a launch title.
A launch title.
A launch title.
Let me ask you this thing. Let me ask it to the round table. Was Crazy Taxi at launch, y'all?
No.
It came after. Okay.
I just wanted
to
the launch lineup.
I don't think Skies was a launch title.
I think it.
Skies came like
no, you're right. You're right.
Out, right? It was
Blue Stinger was the. I'm sorry. Blue Stinger was launched. Skies came afterwards.
But these games, see, the reason why these games are so epic is because a lot of these games wait till the install base is built. Then they come out.
Good point.
These games is day one games.
Because they knew they needed it.
Yes.
So the difference was they knew they needed. They really soured everybody with the Saturn, to the extent that KB Toy and Hobby didn't sell it.
Yeah.
They needed that launch lineup. But the thing is, they weren't just thrown together games either. I mean, we're talking about NFL 2K. We're talking about
Blitz.
Blitz was in that lineup. Sonic Adventure was in that lineup.
Racing games, you had like Tokyo Extreme Racer,
you had Kart and you had Monaco Grand Prix. Kart Flag to Flag was nothing to sleep on either. I mean, you had Air Force Delta, that was Konami's first shot over at making something to take on Air Combat.
Yeah, Ace Combat.
Ace Combat rather. You had a Mortal Kombat game at launch, and you had Hydro Thunder, which turns out to be a game that would launch kind of the semi-career one of my more favorite indie developers, Vector Unit. They bought that when Microsoft bought the Hydro Thunder IP from Midway when Midway tanked. They got Vector Unit to make Hydro Thunder Hurricane, which was an Xbox 360 game. And that launched them into Beach Buggy Racing, Riptide GP, and now they're bringing out another Beach Buggy Racing game. And so, you know, I'm telling you, man, Sega had such a hand in what has happened coming forward. And people sometimes, because gaming has become so mainstream now, that a lot of young people are gamers that didn't get started until the PS2, PS3, Xbox 360.
Shout out to Lord Addict.
And you don't get a chance sometimes. They don't get a chance to or they don't get the opportunity to understand where some of this stuff came from. You know, they don't get the chance to understand. The first console that really had a broadband adapter on it was the Dreamcast.
Absolutely. What was it? Was it 14.4, 33.6? I don't remember.
Well, there was a 33.6, was a 56K modem in it, but there was an actual Ethernet broadband adapter that you could pop in.
Yep.
You are correct. And you're dropping so much knowledge bomb. The chat is love you right now. Let's think about it. You're bringing everybody back memory lane.
Anybody pick up Trick Style at launch? Trick Style.
Trick Style, yes.
Trick Style was awesome.
I remember that.
They had another game, Rippin' Riders, which was by the same developers of. Now I'm blanking.
I can't remember now.
PlayStation had it. It was a PlayStation snowboarding franchise, and Cool Borders. And the same folks who made Cool Borders, they couldn't bring Cool Borders over to the Dreamcast because of the IP, so they made a game called Rippin' Riders, and it was mostly identical. They had stuff like that. Vanishing Point, Will SCZ,
shout out to the
Red Dog. See, Metropolis Street. These guys.
Oh man, love that.
Metropolis Street Racing.
Metropolis Street Racer.
That was the precursor to Project Gotham.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It is so funny what you're saying, thing, because in reference to the importance of that lineup, you and Lord King are saying about how like big that Dreamcast lineup was because of what happened with the Saturn. And truth be told, and I'm a Sega kid, like when Sov and King got the Saturn, I kind of soured. Like I was kind of like, I'm not feeling it. So the Dreamcast was kind of like that reinvigoration that Sega was back. Like, and it was like in a big way. And obviously we cannot forget the shirt that you have on right now.
Yes, I'll bring the camera forward a little bit.
Let's go. Let's talk about that Shenmue, baby. Now, did your life change like mine did when I first saw this title and Ryo was his pops was in the room and Landy entered? What was your
so I'll never forget that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. You got me all set, man.
Let's go.
I actually let me segue it by saying that my first game journalism job was actually with a Dreamcast website. So, you know, I got out of working at EB and stuff like that, kind of got into I'm also a musician, so I started working for music shops, and I ended up making what turns out to be one of the most interesting choices of my life. I decided to work for a piano sales shop. Well, I can tell you pianos are not an impulse buy. And so I could go weeks without seeing a human being. So I started bringing my Saturn into the shop and hooking it up to the monitor because I had the ability to do that. So I'm sitting there playing, Sega Rally and stuff like that. And they had a 56K modem hooked up to the computer there that we would use to dial into the main office and whatnot. So I started like looking around the internet for Sega information and ran across this guy who was building a site for a new console Sega was working on. And so I don't remember how it happened, but I got involved with it and became a writer for this guy, kind of pulling news and things like that. And then the Dreamcast was officially kind of announced, and at E3 that year they were gonna They were going to show it off. So somehow I found a number for somebody at Sega who got me in touch with Sega's PR company and got us registered as media for E3 that year, 1998.
98.
And it was amazing. I was young, so I didn't have a family. I didn't have to worry about leaving kids home. So yeah, I'm gonna jump on a plane and go to this show. And I remember walking around the Sega booth, and I stopped at this display, and there was an old man's face on the display, and they were manipulating his face to make his eyebrows raise, to make him smile, to make him frown, to manipulate, and it was a concept video for Shenmue. And I must have. It was one of the 2 times that something has stopped me at the show in my tracks to just stare at. I'll give you the other one. You guys will like this. The next year, right before launch. It's launch year, 99, and they're showing off the launch lineup on the screen. And the screen's up high, so you look up, kind of you see them kind of dangling from ceiling and stuff like that. And I'm walking through the booth, and I look up, and they're showing off NFL 2K. And the quarterback throws the ball, and what I'm seeing is the receivers running downfield. Now, we've seen this in Madden every year. We've seen, that kind of stuff. I saw the receiver turn his head and turn to catch the ball, and I stopped. I stopped and watched that screen for another 20 minutes, just going, oh my God. So Shenmue kind of hit me in that same way. And then as I began to see what this game unfolded, it took over my life while I played it.
Yeah, man, it was absolutely revolutionary. And we talk about it on many ILPs ad nauseum, but people don't realize at that time the things that you're saying, just the way first of all, graphically how the game looked. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sting, was that the AM2 engine that Yu Suzuki these guys were using? It looked very similar to the Virtua Fighters engine, but refined, almost in an open world kind of a sense.
I don't remember. I know that AM2 developed it. I don't know what engine he used, honestly. It's been so long.
Whatever that engine was, but it was spectacular. And you had the open world aspect, the real time aspect. You to go get a job, and then for me, the cherry on the sundae, I'll never forget. Lord King shows me where the town arcade is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, go in there, Carl. I'm like, all right. And they have like a hang-on display and a Space Harrier display.
Yes.
And I'm like, he's like, go ahead. I'm like, you can play that in the game? And I jumped, and they were fully arcade replicated versions, perfect emulations. And I'm sitting there and I'm playing Hang On, and the music comes on, and I'm going crazy. I'm like, I'm literally in the arcade of a game, playing a game. This is ridiculous. The game was truly ahead of its time. I don't know if Suzuki-san blew the budget.
The budget for that game was somewhere in the 70 mil or something like that. It was a crazy budget for that game.
Yes.
It is not the budget for the current game. I can tell you that. There are games that are special. That is a special game, and I love to see a lot of folks who are looking for remasters of those, and who are looking at the third one, because it shows that there's still some passion for that series and for what Yu Suzuki and Masahiro Yoshimoto put into that game. And it's not just that, man. The soundtrack. The soundtrack was Yuzo Koshiro, I believe.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
those just it brought you. The game brought you into the world like games didn't do in that day and age.
Just the
Well,
opening
we
cinematic
were
alone. Okay.
intrigued. We were intrigued because everybody had drive-in theater on Saturday on Channel 5. And, Shaw Brothers, shout out to the Shaw Brothers, Run Shaw and Run Me Shaw, who brought us these wonderful movies like Five Deadly Venoms and,
Classic.
the Iron Fist and stuff like that. So these movies, The Kid with Golden Arms, these movies were our way into the Orient. Okay, so now they brought us a game where we actually was running around in the Orient and the karate, the quick time events, everything about that game was so rich. It was beautiful. And it also gave us another avenue into what a culture that was mystifying us, but also bringing us up, and it harkened over to our childhood. So that's why I really believe that game was so huge, is because it gave us a peek into what we was most curious about and what we really wanted to be about. And it was great, and it was done perfectly.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ken.
To the graphics. Yeah,
that's a good point, Ken. It definitely opened us up to Eastern culture, and just like it was just so well done, man. It truly was ahead of its time, and it's good to see that, hopefully this remaster, I mean, hopefully the remasters come out before the new one. That would be great.
I think the new one's ever coming out.
I know, right? At this point, we got to see what's going on with the Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, with those faces that they were showing.
Well, so I mean, I joke, but they do have a publisher. So I mean, Deep Silver's publishing it, who's now, of course, owned by THQ Nordic. So I'm confident the game is going to get an influx of the money it needs to finish. There's no way they're going to let this
happened to all that Kickstarter cash? I thought it blew up off the Kickstarter.
They do, but when the original game has a $70 million budget, and this game has a $6 million budget.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He had to do crowdfunding afterwards and stuff too.
At least 50 million of that money was spent on partying.
Oh my God!
Right.
I'm done. You're out of control. So moving on. So we know about.
I will say that my first memory of meeting Peter Moore was at an E3 party that Sega knew how to do that stuff up. And they rented out an industrial complex and had girders and all this stuff in this big giant screen where they had, I can't remember who the basketball player was who was playing NBA 2K and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, man, he's up on a girder. Peter Moore, a young Peter Moore, but one of my, let me tell you, one of my absolute favorites in the industry.
Oh, let me tell you, it's funny you said that. That's how me and you, I know you're my brother from another mother too, thing, because tell me that Peter Moore understood how to present, how to make it an event, a show. His enthusiasm was so evident in everything he did, and it was just cool to see. Even from the Sega transition to the Xbox transition, he even talked about it. He was just like, hey man, I had the rivalry against the PlayStation because of what they did to my beloved Dreamcast.
Yeah, absolutely. He stood up on this girder, on a girder with no protection, nothing underneath of him, yelling to the crowd, we are gonna kick Sony's ass. And the crowd went berserk because, of course, we're all Sega fans. We're all there for, but this was the mentality. This is the guy this is the guy who knew so much that people wanted a Halo 2 release date that he had that thing tattooed on his arm. Woo! And I got a picture of it somewhere that I got to go find, where he rolled his sleeve up and man was not badly built, and there it is. And for a long time, people have speculated whether or not it's real or not, because the following year for Xbox, he rolled up his other sleeve and he had a Grand Theft Auto 4. That one was, you could tell that one was totally fake.
Yeah.
Now that he works for Liverpool Football Club, I think it's okay if everybody knows that Halo tattoo is real.
Really?
I have seen it up close.
I did not know that.
Yep.
All these years.
So
Yeah,
Peter,
he's always fair.
yeah, one of the reasons that I had so much respect for Peter Moore is not only did he understand what was needed to get third parties to Sega and to Xbox and to get EA kind of where they were going before he left, but he knew how to deal with people. And one of the things that I will always take away from my time going to E3 every year and kind of being in that industry is you never have fun at E3 if you're a journalist. You just don't. You're meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. I don't think I ever spent more than 10 or 15 minutes actually playing a game. Playing games on the floor. It was always on the go. And these guys too, it's not just us as journalists. These executives got to meet with us. They've got to meet with retail. They've got to meet with a ton of different people. So I would always be up in the Microsoft booth, getting ready for my meeting, talking to my rep. Shout out to my man Arnie Meyer, who, by the way, now is the PR head for Naughty Dog. Also a fantastic human being. Wow. He's kind of one of the reasons that NLG even exists, to be quite honest with you. It's one of the reasons that I have a lot of respect and love for Microsoft. They are a big reason that I was able to do what I was able to do. So Peter Moore would always be floating around because he's got tons of meetings, things like that. There was not a year gone by where he didn't walk up to me, even if it was just for a second. Knew he had to go somewhere else. Said, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? How's the family?" Shook hands. Hope everything's well. Hey, man, I got to run, but I just wanted to stop and say hello. That is who Peter Moore was, and that's what a leader does.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're taking us back and completely. I mean, I'm a huge Peter Moore fan. A lot of ILP know, and it was just good to see that aggressiveness translate. His passion always translated, and those are good times, man. The Sega times and through the Xbox, early OG Xbox era and stuff like that, and then 360. Really, really cool stuff to see, and just to see that aggressive. And a lot of people who are Xbox fans kind of miss that sometimes. Like they kind of miss that aggression and that love. You know what I'm saying? So it's good.
There's a reason that man, wherever that man went, that company he was with succeeded.
Absolutely.
Whether it was that or before that when he was with Reebok.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. He guided EA into a pretty good spot.
Yes.
They're not in the greatest spot at the moment, but he's not there.
Absolutely. So yeah, man. After that, I would just want to transition you now as far as the industry. I know you've been in the game for some time, Sting. So like, what was the start for the transition of it now becoming a hobby, something, a passion that you love playing these games, to actually getting your foot in the industry and as a journalist?
It had to have been E3.
Gotcha.
Just and understanding that when I talk to people about the games and the gaming industry, that when I was a writer for Dreamcast HQ, Sega took us seriously. There weren't many sites out there that were covering the Dreamcast, and there really wasn't the proliferation yet of the big sites. We were still in sort of kind of a transition out of the magazine era. And so when Sega decided to stop making the Dreamcast, I had one of two ways I could go. I could just be done, get back to what I was doing, or I felt like we had made some I'd made some traction. I had friends in the industry that I was making
Mhm.
Why not make a go at a multi-platform site? If Sega's going to do it, why couldn't we? And so a couple of guys that I had met on Dreamcast HQ, I broached the subject of, hey, why don't we take a shot at creating a site that'll just cover every place Sega's going. So they're gonna put their stuff on the Xbox. They're gonna put their stuff on the PlayStation. They're gonna put their stuff on Nintendo's console. Why don't we move along with it?
Gotcha. That evolution.
Yeah, and so there was a guy overseas that helped kind of design the first site. Wrote kind of a back end for us. We started populating information, and all of a sudden, people started actually coming to it. And we still had great ties with Sega, so Sega was still sending us product, and we incorporated, which was one of the big things you had to do to go to E3. If you wanted to be in E3, it wasn't quite as tough as like getting into PAX now. Right. Like, to get into PAX, you have to basically forego your firstborn to get into PAX Media. Yeah, I know. So I'm excited for you that Tick is going to PAX, man. I live vicariously through half a Tick. Through you guys, through Sam, through Iron, to Anchorman. I live through you guys because what you guys do is the right way, and what you guys do is like Sam. I've read some of his reviews.
Lord Editor. That's what I call him, Lord Editor. He's a beast.
And he reminds me of the way I used to write. And I cannot speak highly enough of that man and what he is doing. So
great
yeah. So anyway, we went through a period where we were growing and companies were starting to pay attention to us.
Nice.
And then we got in with UGO Networks, became an affiliate. And when that happened, Microsoft and Sony began to really pay attention to us, which is why I credit, there was also the second time I met Peter Moore was at a launch, an Xbox 360 launch in New York. We went up, a bunch of us went up, met my rep, sat down, played some games, actually had dinner with Peter, and I talked, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting a form in the mail for a debug Xbox, which at the time was how you did preview stuff. They send you gold, they send you these red discs and green discs.
Gotcha.
And you had, I still have it. I still have the debug because I never sent it back and I never asked for it. I can't use it because it's totally unusable, but I have it as a memento. And I'm like, guys, we're going to be previewing games. And once that happened, EA and Konami and Capcom and these guys were like, you have a debug unit? Oh, great. Because it's cheaper to send you review code than to send you a review product. And I'm like, I don't care. So and then we went to Sony and said, hey guys, look, we're previewing Xbox stuff. We're multi-platform. We want to preview your stuff too. And it took them knowing that was happening for them to go, oh yeah, absolutely. And so the only company who has always sucked with PR is Nintendo. They've never been able to. Yeah, Golan Harris. I still wake up in a cold sweat hearing that. But I credit Microsoft for us surviving against IGN, GameSpot. I mean, those were the big titans at the time,
right?
And we held our own for many years against them. Obviously, they were the kings of the castles, but we were pulling in 1 to 2 million a month.
Talk them numbers.
Well, back then you needed it. That's what you had to. Now it's all about subscribers and views and stuff. Back then it was how many people hit your site.
Yeah.
And we had because of that, we had some really good experiences. I love reminiscing about what's happened to me in the gaming industry because there are things that I get to pass down to my kids. There's things that I'm proud of that we used to do back before all this nonsense and Twitter and bullshit. You know, I've got 2 box quotes to my name. I've got interviews with remember Dan Stevens and Peter O'Keefe from the NFLPA.
Yes. Wow,
I've got a great interview with them that I did. I got to talk to people I never would have talked to, and something that I will never forget in my life. I'm a relief pitcher for an unlockable game in MLB 2K7. I mean, these are the things that
read my mind. I was just about to ask because I heard rumors that you were in a game, and I wanted to know what game you were in.
I am in. So the story goes. I'll make this very quick because we haven't even gotten to our topics yet. I love you guys. Seriously. I got so close to my friends at 2K the 2K Sports 2K Games. My rep called me one day and says, "I can't tell you why. I just need you to, there's something I need from you, and I need you to say yes." And I said, "Well, what?" And he said, "I dude, please don't make me tell you. Just tell me it's okay to do it." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, man." So I said, "All right, fine." So he said, so he must have pulled a picture of me from somewhere, and later on, he never mentioned it for like a half a year or so.
Wow.
And next thing you know, MLB 2K comes out, 2K7 comes out. He sends me
Soft's favorite.
It's one of the best. I mean, I'm not saying because I'm in it. It's one of the best. I get a review copy and a note, and it says, "Mike, I need you to put this code in, unlock everything, and I need you to go to the 1988 LA Dodgers, and I need you to play a game with them." And so I'm like, "All right, fine." So I fired it up, unlocked it, and I'm picking my team. I get to the pitchers, and I called him and I said, "You son of a bitch." And he just started to laugh, and he said, "Surprise."
Lord Muller.
And I'm like, "Oh my," I said, "Are you kidding me?" He said,
Nice.
"Oh, play it. So don't just look, play it." And it had like it didn't have my exact picture, but it had a I'm looking for it on Facebook while I'm talking. It had a likeness of me, beard and every, goatee and everything. And he's like, no, keep going. So I picked him as a starting pitcher, even though I have no stamina. So that's the only downside of it. So Sovereign, man, if you want to check it out, it's fine, but don't start me because
won't get out of the first.
I might not get past the third inning.
Man, that's awesome.
So I started the game, and as I'm playing, when I hit the mound, and John Miller says my name, I put the controller down, and when I went to bat. And the stadium announcer, and it says my name correctly. It's not even. I mean, it's like somebody told them what my name was, and John Miller and the stadium announcer say my name, and I'm like, I was so overwhelmed. Like that's
dope.
It is something. And in case anybody wants to try to find it themselves, it doesn't matter which platform it's on. So it's not like a downloadable.
Which year is it? Which one?
It's 2K7.
2K7. Okay.
For either PS.
How many copies did you purchase?
I only have the one.
I think I would have.
He has the one that he owns.
I think I would have probably 5 million copies of that game, and every year I will give them out on my birthday. With an unlockable code.
At the time, I mean, honestly, I was so overwhelmed with gratitude. I mean, it was nothing that I felt like I deserved. I was like, man, I'm just doing my job. He's like, well, you are, he's like, you do such a good job that this is what we wanted to do for you.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I was like, dude, I don't deserve this.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's just, I was so
immortalized, man. You were immortalized.
As soon as I find it, I'll share. As soon as I find it, I'll share the screen.
No doubt.
So those are memories that I've had. I've had great memories of interviews with people. I've actually met the guy who was the voice of Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Nice. I saw the picture. He's got some great pictures up on Twitter too.
Yeah, I've just those are the things that I remember, and it all culminated around. I had a mentality of, you be fair, you be objective. Nowadays, and this is what's troubled me about the gaming journalism of today, is everybody has to write their news and then put some sort of commentary on it, from their point of view or their personal. When we wrote a news article, I damn near just cut and pasted the press release, because all I wanted to do was show the person or whoever was watching. I just wanted to show them what the company had to say and let them make up their own mind as to how they felt about it. Now, obviously, I reviewed games, so I had a subjectivity to that. Of course, when you're reviewing games, that is one thing that you can't do semi-objective.
Right, there's going to be some opinion.
But when you are reporting the news, that is what you're supposed to do, and that's what I like about Sam, and what Tick is doing is just report it and let people decide for themselves how they feel about it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. That's for the person to interpret on their own.
Facts.
Good talk, man. And so that's something I always espouse to, and maybe that's what garnered so much of that from companies, is that I wouldn't go out of my way to trash something or to or to be super negative.
Right.
I just couldn't do it. If it was negative stuff, I reported about it, but I didn't put my spin on it.
Objectivity, man. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Completely. And when I've seen people say, objectivity is, there's no such thing, or there's no.
Yeah, I've seen that from certain people.
I wholly reject that. All right, so here you go. So I don't know where he got this picture from, but it does have the goat and the mustache.
Let's see it.
All right, you have to click on me there because I'm sharing.
All right, give me a second. I'm gonna click on you right now.
You should see it.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay, I see it. Ooh, the number 20.
Yep.
Fire. Okay.
It's one of my prides and joys.
Nice. I remember that whole UI too. Look at the UI I saw.
Wasn't 2K7 the one with the crazy wind effects? Like the jerseys would blow in the wind and we all lost our mind over that.
See, that started with NBA. Remember the whole you could the jerseys moved independently of the bodies. That's where all that started from.
Absolutely. Great memories, man. Oh, man, we could talk for hours.
I know, man. I see, this is what happens. This happens every time I come on a show. It's a 3 to 4 hour show.
It's so good. We gonna power through. I just got one.
That batter was about to hit a home run. That's fine. That's fine, Fastback. I hear you.
Fastback team. 2 more quick questions. We'll power through. We'll get to the show. Now, the other questions I have for you was reference to obviously NLG and the creation of those guys, your crew. You got Crazy One, HTK. Was it Viper Strike?
Yep.
And was it
Natty Red Gals?
Natty Red Gals. Yes. So just what then led after you're still doing the site and everything, but then what led to the actual podcast creation?
So I retired from the site in 2007 when my oldest son got a little too old and needed a little too much attention for me to do a full-time job plus a website. So I gave it up, still played a bit. Then I kind of got out of gaming for a bit, for about 2 years. 2013 rolls around, and Microsoft and Sony are getting ready to debut new consoles. And I started to get a little interested. I'm like, it's been a while. Busted out my 360, busted out my PS3, got myself back into it. And then thought to myself, well, what if I brought NLG back? What if I brought the brand back? What if I did something with it? And so I got with a couple of my original writers from the site and said, well, what do we want to do? And they're like, well, I mean, I can't do a site anymore. I mean, we can't put that much time into it. But I see all these other people doing YouTube videos and podcasts. Why don't we try like a weekly podcast? We'll record it. I'll edit it. We started out doing like Skype, but I recorded it, and then I'd edit it, clean it up, and then put it out on YouTube.
Gotcha.
After a couple of weeks, they couldn't do it because their lives were a little too busy. So I was like, I kind of like this. So I started getting some people in and out, and then about 2 years ago, I had a unfortunate falling out with one of my longtime friends who was also podcasting with us, and so I was almost close to doing the show by myself. And Frankie Aller, who's Viper Strike from Short Paws Gaming, said, "No, man."
Oh, shout out to Short Paws.
Yeah.
Guys too.
He was like, "No, man, I'll come in and do a couple shows with you and help you out." So he came on, we did a couple of shows, and he like really enjoyed himself. So from there, HTK, Peter, and I had another gentleman, Jason, they were in our chat. And they were like, hey, man, come guest on your show. And so I had Peter on, and I had Jason on. And Peter's been on now for almost 2.5 years. It'll be actually at E3, this E3, I think he will have been on 3 years. I think.
Shout out to HTK.
And so Frankie, when I lost my friend and I lost my co-host, I almost shut it down. I was like, you can't do that. And I couldn't. I was like really upset. And Frankie kind of saved me. Like I credit Frankie for literally the reason that the podcast is alive today. And then Juan came along, and his passion was he loved retro stuff.
I see it with it's classic stuff. He had
he's our look.
He had Tekken 1 on recently. I was lost.
Peter and Frankie and I are all multi-plat guys. He's our semi-multi-plat guy. He's our Xbox guy. There's no doubt about it. He's our Xbox guy. He owns a Switch. He loves his Switch, but he loves his Xbox. Nothing wrong with that at all. But he also has this love of retro gaming. So, we were trying to think of things to do because everybody comes on and talks and does stuff, and we just didn't want to be another talking podcast where we're in we're a little fish in a big bowl. So we're like, well, man, what could we do that's a little different? He said, well, I could bring up a retro game and we could talk about it. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like a great idea. We'll call it Juan's Retro Recommendation. Nice. And that started. I think he is on if it's not our 40th, he's coming up on our 40th Retro Rec, the next podcast. And it ranges anything from PlayStation 1 to Xbox, Genesis, Super Nintendo, NES.
Yeah, he's got a wide variety. I watch him, and I'm like, wow, he's taking it back. Like I said, he had the original Tekken for the PS1 on there. I was losing my mind.
He had the original. He had the original Tekken. He had the original Gran Turismo.
Yes.
I know he's a Forza guy now, but back then he was a big Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah, Turismo was the wave back then.
Yeah,
absolutely. Everybody was a Gran Turismo fan. I remember when
photorealistic.
Yep. I had to pull myself away from Sega GT long enough to play Turismo. But these guys bring they bring variety. They bring an ability to they bring knowledge, and that's what I like. It's amazing to me some of the knowledge that they have and what they can bring to the gamers as far as information goes. we all debate once in a while too. There are things that I don't often, there's times when I disagree with these guys, they disagree with me, and we have some great debates, some great discussions.
Yeah, sounds like ILP.
Yeah, I just, we're just not as smooth as you guys. That's all it is. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this thing back like 7 or 8 times and try to figure out how to make my intros as smooth as this. Because hi everybody, welcome to the original Let's Talk Gaming. And I listen to this and I'm like, oh my god, I am as white as the driven snow. So but in all seriousness, these guys bring with them different skill set, different knowledge base, but they all have gaming passion.
You see it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that. And we pride ourselves on making sure that we stay focused on games, we stay focused on the industry. We don't I say this politely. Yeah. we try to say like even at the there were earlier times when a guest or two would name drop someone and I'd hit them in the chat, hey man, we don't do that here, and so it's just we take enough pride in what we do that we want to be the group you come to when you want to get away from that. Like ILP. You're going to get away from that stuff. You come to ILP, you come to TIC, you come to NLG. It's as I call it, the 3-letter podcast family.
That's what it's about. You're making a good point because at the end of the day, when I use the figurative term, the realm, it's like you said, it's the escape from all the outside noise of the world. And that's what King knows, Soft knows, Act knows. Like everyone's got so much going on in life. And ILP is just a reflection of the Saturdays that we used to have in the house, and it was just all our friends. It was just gaming. It was just fun. That's all it was about. And you got to get away from your normal drama of life.
Well, and that's right.
What it was about.
And one of the things we did at the beginning of the year is we made the conscious decision to move ourselves from YouTube to Twitch. For 2 reasons. Number one, we found the quality of video on Twitch because we do a Skype and an XSplit broadcast. So, I'm humbled. I was humbled earlier when you talked about our production value. It's not nearly what I've seen other people do, but we take a lot of pride in how we're developing our site and how we're doing video and giving Juan his space for his retro rec so that it looks professional.
Right.
And Twitch gives us so much better video quality than YouTube, but it also puts us in front of a different audience. It puts us in front of people who are streaming games, who are playing games, who I want to come see us to see a gaming show, not a bitch fest with 7 people yelling at each other and talking about how console X sucks and this person sucks and this guy is a horrible person. I just I can't do it, and I don't have the time or the patience for it. So going to Twitch, being here in the realm, these are the places I want to be. This is where my gaming life is.
Much appreciated. We're glad to have you, man. It's long overdue. Long overdue. Just hearing that history was a lot of feels. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
took it back,
right
man.
I'm having right now.
Nope. That's it, man. We're gonna get into these topics and get into these games and all that stuff real quick. Lord Soft, Lord King, what have you guys been playing this week? You guys get to touch anything this week specifically? Let's start with Lord Soft.
I mean, I've been working crazy, so I couldn't play A Way Out with King, couldn't play any Sea of Thieves. Yesterday was my plan to play it. Like I said, wifey folded that, so that was that for this week. The only thing I managed to download was Punch Out on the Switch. I got to play.
Yeah, I saw it on the eShop. I gotta ask you about that, Lord Soft. I'm surprised Nintendo allowed that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that has it hasn't really been reproduced anywhere. And so it's old school Punch Out. I don't know if they plan to add, or if it has at this point, that online functionality they were talking about with all their games, like all this stuff that's going to be rolled into the service. So all I've done was play a little bit, and old school Punch Out reminds me more of like Super Punch Out than it does like Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
I agree.
You have the wireframe Incredible Hulk character that you play as.
No Little Mac.
Yeah, and it's different. Like the game feels different. It's not as much about the boxing technique as it is about finding patterns and like getting your super up so you can just bash them, you know, with the super punches and whatnot. So it's cool to play because I have a lot of memories playing that game. There's a store like right down the street from where I grew up that I used to go in all the time to play it, and it was like it wasn't a quarter. I think it was like 50 or 75.
Yeah, that was an expensive one. I remember that one.
Yeah. So it's just cool to have it on the go. So that's it. And Bad Dudes I think got delayed. So they delayed a 35-year-old game.
I'm sorry. Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it's on the Nintendo eShop.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Lord King, what have you been playing this week?
PUBG.
PUBG, oh my god.
No, but listen, I played some Doom to check the patch. I played also the Doom. You know what's crazy? Shout out to Lord Kratos. A week before I was playing Doom, and I was like, man, it'd be crazy if they could get this up to the 4K because it looked like Vaseline was smeared on my screen. And I was like, man, I said this thing will look really good like on my PC.
So you played the Switch version?
Yeah. No, I wasn't. No. So I don't even know why you brought that up. But so I'm playing it and I'm like, wow, it would be great. And then lo and behold, like they like announced it like 3 days later that the patch was coming out, and then it was coming out the next week. So I was really looking forward to that. And then I played a little bit of what was that? Call of Duty. It was the new downloadable. One of those ones that my boy Mason is always bothering me to play. It became backwardly compatible. Shout out to Kratos again for the backwardly compatible. And I played it on backwardly compatible, and I'm loving the fact that Microsoft has allowed me to play current gen. A past generation and these future games that are coming out that are 4K, 60 frames per second. And I'm just loving the whole ecosphere of what's going on right now, that your dollar is really stretching. It's like really stretching. My buck has went such a long way that I don't have to go buy a game like you just said, Bad Dudes, right? Like, wouldn't it be crazy if they were like, oh, Bad Dudes is backwardly compatible, just go inside the shop and just play it. And then it was just blowing my mind this week that I was playing such a wide variety of games from so many different eras. So
absolutely, man. It's good time. Good time.
Real quick before we go on, this morning I was able to play a little bit of something, right? So I had Lord Shallow just consumed me, and I was trying to hold off.
But you get.
I saw the Digital Foundry breakdown. I had to pick up the Far Cry 5. I had to.
Yo, shout out to Citizen. He picked it up.
Based
like,
on that alone.
Yeah.
So I got to play through the intro, just the intro part. When I tell you that game, 4K HDR, true 4K, oh my Lord, the things they've done with that engine, like I'm sure like on the PC side, it's ridiculous. But remember, on the PC, you're not going to find HDR. It's going to be difficult to get HDR on a PC with a PC monitor. So the HDR is always going to be the game changer. On a 4K HDR TV, that game looks absolutely spectacular.
That's what I'm hearing, man.
It runs beautifully. Like all the foliage, like it really has me excited for Red Dead. Honestly, like what Red Dead's going to do, these two games are absolutely ridiculous. So
you
it's more
are in the midst of Lord Shallow right there. You said I just paid $64 for this wonderful game, and I saw the tree and I said I can't wait for the next $64. What the hell,
Lord
man?
Shallow consumed me, baby.
Listen, man, that was the main reason. So I couldn't do the I mean, when you're talking about the Doom thing, like. I couldn't do the Doom on the Switch because I knew that patch was coming, and now I'm hearing about the Far Cry, and I'm like, oh man! But shout out to Sinister, he was like, don't worry, I'm doing my due diligence on the game share. I got you. And I saw Far Cry pop up, so I said, yes.
Oh really? Oh okay, yeah.
So I got get a chance to touch it. So yeah, man. Yeah, for me it's just been pretty much I know if you follow my timeline, I finally finished XCOM 2. Oh my god, fantastic. That's my favorite GTA, like RTS of all time, man. Like I love me some XCOM. So the ending was great. Love the new factions, new systems. They opened the door for XCOM 3.
Maryland developers represent.
Oh yeah, that's Maryland.
That's Firaxis. That's down the street from me.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's what's
I
up.
actually you'll love this since you liked XCOM.
Love it.
So I recently did a community theater production of The Music Man, and the head guy, the guy who played the lead role, worked on that game. They have a game coming he wasn't allowed to tell me about.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We have to talk offline about that.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get any info from him.
Okay, all right. But that's good though. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? That's my game, man. I had so much fun with that. Obviously, I do some shout out to Bontis. The fast update has arrived for Destiny 2. We got Flashpoint number 10 out there on the ILP channel. You can check that out with the intense breakdown with Lordy Bontis. So having fun, baby steps in the right direction. And I just want to do a quick indie spotlight shout out to my guys, my Polish lords over at Tate Media. They sent me a review copy of Urban Trial Playground for the Nintendo Switch. And yo, Sav, you know what it reminds me of? And King also remember this too. Remember California games for the Atari Lynx?
Oh my god, I love that game.
Remember that? Remember that, Lord Sting? And it's like it was just the BMX portion. Like this game is shades of that with the tricks and the bike, and you sitting there falling off the bike, bike in all these funny ways.
I know, but the hacky sack too.
Yeah. I couldn't do that. That was like the hardest event.
Epics, I miss them.
I do miss them. What was it, Lost? It was surfing. It was BMX.
Yep. The hacky sack.
Hacky sack.
Skateboarding.
Yes.
You had to skateboard down that down the sidewalk and not trip over stuff.
Yes. Shout out to California Games, man. That was like the Lynx launch title. So I want to give out my dudes over there at Tate Media for replicating that feel. I believe the game comes out actually comes out, I think it's Tuesday. Actually comes out or the 5th, something like that. So be on the lookout for that if you're a fan of that style, California Games, BMX, trick bike, that kind of stuff. So anyway, we're going to get into the poll. Last week's poll results are in. The people have spoken to the question: with the recent release of Sea of Thieves and the rise of more games as a service, should developers be held accountable when initial launch content might be considered minimal? The winner at 59% in a 3-way ILP poll was the no. No content equals the games as a service game is unfinished. Coming in at second place at 27% was the games as a service is an evolving game group. And third place at 14% are Shallows. I don't care as long as it's $10 in Game Pass group.
That's me.
What do the Lords think about this real quickly? Lord Sting, what do you think about this?
Oh my God, I'm tired of talking about Sea of Thieves.
I know.
Look, folks, look right here in the eyes. Look, guys, just because the game doesn't have enough content for you doesn't mean it doesn't have enough content for others. And that's and I get it. If this game is not for you because it doesn't have enough content, I get it. It's perfectly fine. I know people that won't play Madden anymore because they feel it's the same game every year. That's the logical. It's okay. It's perfectly okay. But it doesn't necessarily, like, some of the worst comments I've seen.
The disgust, I love it.
Some of the worst comments I've seen is that this game should be in early access right now. Stop it. Stop. Look, stop. The game is not broken. The game is not unfinished. If you want to have a discussion about whether or not there's enough content in it, that's fine. But there are a lot of people. There is a reason that it's leading sales in Europe, in Australia, and it's likely going to show up on AMPDs next month. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Because it's, for a lot of people, it's a starting point. And for a lot of people, there's enough content right now that as long as they know there's a roadmap, and Rare has said this. Rare is on your channel, so they've talked to you guys about this. The game right now is just a ton of fun with friends, even if it's repetitive. It's still a ton of fun.
Yeah, and we've had that discussion before. Like, how do you equate fun, when people are saying it's less content versus people who are actually enjoying the game and saying that they are having fun? Can you negate that aspect? And that's why I said it's one of the most polarizing games, because
you shouldn't be able to.
Because if there's a group that is legitimately saying, I am enjoying every aspect of this game, then it's accomplished what it needed to accomplish.
Right.
and the sales look like it's reflecting what you're saying, Lord saying.
Yeah. And I mean, and I want to bring up a point, because I do like watching the chat room, and Irrelevant Natives bringing up, he says objectively it doesn't have enough content to boot. However, for some it's fine. But that in and of itself makes that not objective.
Native, be quiet.
No. I told, but again,
how much content it got, Native.
But I get his point. I understand.
I know.
It totally.
He don't be on like that. He knows what I'm talking about, and he knows that he don't. If he played 5 minutes of the game last week, that was enough for him. I got 5 minutes of content. Native, be quiet.
Shout out to Native in the chat. That's my guy.
Native, hey, Native, hit me up.
Hey, I'll run with he said King is a fraud. I'll run with it too. I'll run it with him. I mean, look.
He gonna tell you about the Hulu last week. Shut up, Native.
A lot of Hulu going down.
Listen, because I called him out last week, and then he hit me up on Twitter, and he was talking about, he took a screenshot of me watching Hulu. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm supposed to use my system for other things other than game as well. I said it was Sunday. I was watching in Broad City.
I believe they call it the Xbox One all-in-one entertainment system, right?
That is true.
Yes, I was entertaining myself like he does on a lot of occasions.
He said he see you on YouTube.
I did not get started war.
Listen.
I come into the realm and I start wars, and then I back out.
Treaty
slowly.
broken.
Native, it's the weekend, and what I do on the weekend, Native, stop it. It's family time. Cut it out.
Look, I do understand. Look, it's the game, and I'm not saying that the game does not need more content. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that as it stands right now, 3 months down the line, if there's nothing new, that they're not going to bleed base. I'm not saying that. Right. What I'm saying is that they have 2 million people playing this game, and probably more by now.
Yeah.
They have that based upon what they launched.
Yes.
You have to understand that is impressive no matter what. Absolutely. I don't care how many people bought it versus how many people are using it on Game Pass, because remember, Game Pass makes them money too. It's $10 now, and then $10, and then $10, and then $10. They're going to make their money on Sea of Thieves, no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. Not to cut you, I just said totally agree with you. We're gonna go on for Sea of Thieves forever.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But Lord Sav, we got to get this show rolling. I know we had so much nostalgia today. But,
my fault, totally.
No, it's all good, Lord Sting. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna get this. What's going on with the sun rays? Is something going on with rays? What's happening? Raytracing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go quick because I don't want to bore too many people with my tech talk. But I'm gonna fly through this quickly.
Yeah, we'll fly through it.
I mean, when it comes to games graphics, I think it's safe to say that over this past generation, we've reached a point in graphics where it hasn't stagnated, but it's difficult for a big developer to make a bad-looking game. You have to go out of your way to make a bad-looking game, right? So, the talk is always, what's the next step, right? PSVR. That's it's a different route that people have taken in terms of expanding what video games can be, right? In terms of graphics, we haven't seen that big jump that we saw when we saw from 8-bit to 16-bit, 16-bit to polygons. And we've always been looking like, what's the next step, right? So for a long time, it's been ray tracing, right? So the idea of ray tracing is that you take what ray tracing does is it renders a 3D object on the fly, in the moment, taking into account everything that could be affecting it in the surrounding environment. So it takes into account lighting, it takes into account reflections, it takes into account shadows and positioning, and it does this all real time. So what it does is present a very lifelike image. Now the problem with this is, like I just mentioned, is it has to happen real time. So it's never really been something that's viable for gaming in this day and age, right? Gaming in this day and age is rendered in something what they call rasterization. Rasterization is a technique that basically takes 3D information and makes it 2D to be displayed on your screen, right? And then all the shadow information, reflection information, all that stuff is added afterwards, right? So the problem with that is that though it makes it easier for the systems that we have and own today to be able to do that, it requires a bunch of different techniques happening at the same time. Whereas ray tracing, although it's very compute intensive, it requires a beast of a machine to do in real time. It all happens on the fly. None of that has to be computed outside. There's no other algorithm that's needed. The technique itself handles all of it, and to great effect. So to this point, it's only really been used in movies, right? If we look at our favorite movies today,
the Avengers movies in the MCU,
exactly,
they use them.
Exactly, like any movies with big effects in this day and age can use them because, again, they use them for a specific frame, right? It's something that's recorded, it's put on, it's digitized, and it's not something that has to happen real time. So they can take the time that they need to make those effects look fantastic, and it's not something that taxes the system, so to speak. For gaming, ray tracing has been around for a long time. Like ray tracing was introduced in like 2011, right? By Intel.
Flashback.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
And then it was even talked about when it came to, and it goes back to this cloud discussion about utilizing the cloud to off-put this sort of stuff, this sort of high computation stuff, so that you don't have to do it locally, right? And it was talked about back on like the iPad 2. And telephones were finally getting to the point where they could display these high-end graphics, right? So at this past GDC, Microsoft introduced what they call DXR, and along with Intel, and basically what DXR is the first time you're implementing DirectX tools. Ray tracing tools into DirectX 12. It's going to be part and parcel with the DX12 API, meaning that moving forward, it technically every game that utilizes DX12, which is basically any high-end AAA game coming down the pipeline, is going to be using it in some way, shape, or form. They kind of announced it in conjunction with NVIDIA, indicating that NVIDIA has their own set of specific tools for this that they're going to be using in their new Volta GPUs, right?
Gotcha.
Now, all of this stuff is fantastic. If you guys have looked at anything having to do with ray tracing, you see that the Captain Phasma, I think it's Unreal. I don't know if it's Unity or Unreal demo. You can see that the next step is, lifelike images, like stuff that looks like we're watching an actual movie. For a long time, it was, does it look like Pixar? Right. And I think we've gotten almost to the point where we've passed that. Right. So this is the next step. The problem with it is that you're going to need a monster machine to run this. Right. So this is interesting stuff for a couple of reasons. One, it's Microsoft and NVIDIA. I mean, AMD is definitely in there and they're working with this. But the fact that it's Microsoft and NVIDIA and they haven't worked directly with NVIDIA in terms of the Xbox brand for a long time. It's interesting to think about what can happen moving forward on the Xbox side of things. Are they going to be partnering with them, or is AMD going to continue their partnership with PlayStation and with Xbox moving forward in the console space.
So let me ask you a quick question, Sof. So as of right now, who is it baked in with hardware wise? Is it NVIDIA?
No, I mean hardware wise, AMD has a software solution for us. And they're probably going to be baking it into their Zen CPU, GPU combined stuff that's coming out. So in all likelihood, it's going to be baked in at the the metal level there. Right. Again, like I said, with NVIDIA, it's the
RTX.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's RTX, and there's going to be in their new GPUs.
Gotcha.
But those are monster GPUs. Like a top of the line machine right now cannot run that stuff in real time.
See, that was my next question, because I was going to just bring it for real time for the lords that are listening that are like hearing ray tracing. And I mean, we've heard these kind of, terminologies before in DX12. I guess the question comes down to when realistically, can we even say like next gen? Do we think with the next iteration of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 5 that these technologies will be able to be utilized like a fully ray traced game? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think?
I would say maybe next gen when we get to the mid-cycle refresh, when we get to the X of next gen.
Of next gen. Okay.
I would say it's feasible then, just because pricing. Like, you're going to need a monster machine with these next gen GPUs that haven't really even been announced yet to kind of run the stuff in real time. I think but this is the caveat though. It's being brought up now because I think, again, go back to the cloud stuff. I think Microsoft has figured out a way, or is figuring out a way that a lot of this stuff can be offloaded to the cloud and not necessarily be handled locally, right?
Gotcha.
So I don't know about an entire game being rendered in this form, because again, like I said, it's very compute intensive. But I see stuff, and again, when we talk about like Crackdown and stuff like that, that's mostly physics stuff. Like, it's physics being handled. I'm talking about graphics rendering, locally, whatever you see on your screen. That's a whole different ball game. The physics stuff, I think they've been working on it for a while, and I think that makes more sense. But who knows where they're at? I mean, again, it gets brought up because it's an exciting thing to talk about for what graphics are going to be at some point. But I think they're kind of holding their cards close to their chest, and I think they're closer in some respects than others. But like, I still don't see it being viable in a console for quite some time, just because of, again, form factor. You need to shrink this stuff down, and price.
Gotcha.
I think 500 is the ceiling. And that's, it's going to be hard to give a system, especially, when we're talking about maybe looking at next gen stuff, 2019, 2020. I don't see it, but you never know.
You never know.
I will say this, they'll be the first ones to do it. Above Sony, above, of course, Nintendo.
You don't think Grandpa Nintendo's up on ray tracing?
Yeah, Nintendo didn't even get up to 4K yet. Leave them alone. Stop bothering Nintendo.
Lord King, I know you've been championing this tech to me, this information to me for some time. You put me schooling me. So what do you think about what was shown in demos of GDC stuff? Where you at with this whole ray tracing?
Well, as I watched the whole GDC, I was super all over that stuff. It was incredible. I like the way that Microsoft is pushing the narrative. Did you see the new commercial from the Xbox One X? I'm gonna shoot that over to you. It's what I told you Phil was doing. I love Phil's silent assassin. He's playing chess, not checkers.
Your Lord and Savior.
Yeah, man. I gotta put the hand up, and I gotta tell you, man, we are in church when Phil is in session, and Phil is playing this game, man. He's playing this game, and he's playing it to win. The power narrative is fantastic, and he gives you little breadcrumbs. Okay, so he allows little stuff to come out, and the ray tracing. He's like, yo, listen, man, we're pioneering this stuff, and they're like, yeah, okay, we heard about that before. He said, hold on. Just shoot over the Star Wars demo using a real Star Wars asset.
That's what he said.
Where? Yeah, just shoot that over to them. Let them see what I'm privy to in the vault. Let's slide that out to them. And my God, when I saw it,
you look crazy. I thought it was real.
I swore. I said, was this part of the movie? I just finished seeing Star Wars last week. I don't remember the scene. I said, was this part of the extras? No. Real time CGI graphics, polygon. It was above and beyond what we are expecting to come from. And I know Sovereign is right. Do we expect to get that in a home system anytime soon? Not at all. But what I would say is this. Remember, Microsoft has allowed a lot of the computations to come off of the disk because they embedded a lot of the stuff onto the graphics chip. All right. So remember, they have a lot of free cap space when it comes to using the horsepower. Maybe they find the algorithm that it can fit in there. They can remember they're a software company to get this stuff to run at a base form on a system that is an extra tool towards developers. I don't know.
From my understanding, they said they can run it on. Obviously, there's some aspects that it can be implemented. Not like, I guess, the full way.
Not
From
fully, right?
Yeah, like there still be like part rasterization, part, ray tracing and stuff like that.
And that makes sense. Like when it comes to like if when you're rendering buildings and stuff like that, right? If you're not doing something that's destructible in the moment, then maybe the building can be rendered that way and you're gonna see like, crazy shadows and crazy textures on the building because there's nothing going on with that building in that scene, in that moment that requires it to have to be rasterized, So a lot of people that's what they're trying to do, like this mixed thing where there's some rasterization, some ray tracing. Full ray tracing though, that's where everybody wants to be, and that's a whole nother.
We're not there yet.
That's a workstation.
You guys do know that also between those guys, between NVIDIA and Microsoft, Epic is also. I mean, they're talking about bringing real-time ray tracing to Unreal Engine this year. So to where that's gonna go is a good question. I think if when we get to that point where ray tracing is an entire game construct, this may be a time when you look at when you're looking at a difference in generation. When we're not step stooling consoles anymore, because remember, if you're going to maintain backward compatibility, and an Xbox One X can't even run this, your next console can. There is no way you're going to be able to backward compat
to bring that.
Yeah. So you're going to be talking about what people are now looking for, which is a new gen.
Got you. So because of the tech, the differences in the tech and getting that implemented would be so substantially different. What you're saying, those things, there's no way possibly that they're going to be able to forward, because that's been kind of like Microsoft's mantra, right? They want to
bring it right.
Bring everything.
Leave no console behind.
Yeah. I gotta disagree with Sting a little bit there, because the thing is, they're building all of this into DX12, which they've been using for quite some time.
Right.
So I think they've thought about that, right? To me, their thinking is like, we're going to build on this, because if you think about it, how many true DX12 games have come out since they've been talking about it? Like if we go all the way back to the launch of the Xbox One, and resolution gate happened and everything, and the power of the system was in question, then there were rumors about the secret sauce, that the ESRAM, the
ESRAM, yep.
And then when DX12 was going to get updated, they was going to blow the place out of the water, and that didn't come to pass. So the truth about it is that DX12 implementation across the board has been pretty slow. So I think if they're basing it on this, and this is going to be the basement level of this stuff, I think they've thought about that. I don't know how they're going to implement it, because Stinger's right. Like, this is a generational leap. It should be a night and day type thing. So how do you figure that in? But I think they've thought about that. So
and I'm sure they have. The issue is you can only do so much with the hardware you have at the time. So how do they get that? If this is targeting newer hardware, which obviously it is, and companies do that, they target higher hardware, but this is something that if it can't run on an X, for example, in the way that it can run on the Xbox Y or whatever they decide to call it, how do they rectify that?
That's a good
and
question.
I just don't know, and if we start talking about the cloud, that's all well and good for multiplayer games. it's all well and good for the multiplayer games, but how do you?
No, you just mentioned the cloud, and I was waiting for Sovereign to be
Nah.
How
do you do that when you
cloud defender?
Right? How do you do that? How do you do that when you're taking your Xbox One X onto a submarine?
Yeah, it's true. Ain't no cloud.
No cloud there. That's a good point.
Ain't no underwater internet.
Like I said, this is good. This is good. Good tech, good stuff to see about the future.
I
What's
love
going?
talking tech.
Yeah, man.
I remember when the Xbox 360 was in its mid cycle, we started talking about things like procedural generation, which is now a normal thing. But back then, man, when we played, I think it was Morrowind, and they used, what was it called? The tree. That could procedurally generate trees and foliage and stuff like that, and that was like the big thing because it took resources. It took those intensive resources that would normally have to calculate and draw those trees, and it loosened it up a lot, gave power back to developers to do other things. So now you hear a lot about procedurally generated content.
That's a good point.
This is something that that techies love to get into. This is just in a little bit of a different realm, for lack of a better word.
No, absolutely, and this is good, man. We're gonna see what happens in the future with the sun rays, the God rays.
Every game's made by J.J. Abrams.
Love J.J. Abrams. Exactly. Lord King, you are up next to bat. Sea of Thieves. What is going on with Sea of Thieves again? What's happening?
Oh man, what I'm loving is that I woke up to a patch. I woke up to an 18 gig patch just when I heard all the crap, the content and the content and the content. Listen. I'm having fun with my friends. Okay, so what I'm noticing is this new wave, this new stuff. Destiny 2 did it wrong as far as fixing things after the noise became too loud. You understand? And they tried to go fixing it after the noise was deafening and no one would hear them over the noise. So while the noise is starting to build, I'm noticing these new companies or these new games that are out, they're fixing it as it goes. PUBG was hearing the noise and a patch come out the week later. And a patch will come out the week later. It's night and day from the day of the launch. But that's a preview game. Yes, of course. But, and some people will say Sea of Thieves is a preview game. I would beg to differ. But I will also say this. It's an evolving game. Is it going to be the same exact game that it launched? I don't think so. I don't think with any MMO in that type of frame would be the same exact game because it didn't learn anything if it was. So it's going to change, right? And these implications are changing week to week. Little patches here, little patches there. And I'm saying, are these companies now, is Microsoft now and other companies, are they listening to you and getting these out in a timely fashion for us? And is this satiating the crowd to quiet the noise?
It's a good one. I mean, it's definitely, something right now that's being talked about in the community. Is that acceptable? And at the same time, we do know that these games as a service games tend to be something that are evolving, right? There's something that has a foundation that when it first starts may be completely different, 6 months to a year down the road. The question just comes down to, is this acceptable for you? And then for some people, hey, it's no problem. They're having fun. They're enjoying. Other people, they're like, nope, this is not enough content. And I really don't think it's a wrong answer to it. It's just, what do you like? I remember the original Destiny and the things, how it was back then and some of the systems that was in place. And then I remember, the Taken King came out and it was almost like a complete overhaul and all this other stuff that went on. Again, it just comes down to the initial content. Do you like the universe? Are you invested in that ecosystem? If you are and you like it, and I think with Sea of Thieves, they've got something really unique going on. There's really not a lot of pirate simulators going on. The foundation is there. The game does look beautiful. I do understand the complaints. There's not enough content, or there's maybe just the fetch quests are repetitive, blah, blah, blah. it's on you. You know, so it's up to you if you want to stick around with it. What do you feel, Lord Sting and Lord Sav?
Sting, I'll let you go first.
Oh, thanks. So welcome to Games as a Service.
Yes.
I mean, honestly. So and name me the 2 games right now that since they have launched have continued to show up every month like clockwork on MPD charts. I'll give you 2. One's the big one.
Is it Grand Theft?
Yep. And the other is Rainbow Six Siege. Now,
that's right.
Every month. These are games that start out in one position and evolve over time. And you can say what you want about Grand Theft Auto, but Rockstar has perfected the ability to drop content into that game and keep people going to an extent I've never seen before.
Yeah, the sales reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good, because Rainbow Six Siege 6 in the top 20 here and there. Grand Theft Auto is routinely in the top 10. And they just introduced racing. They just introduced outright, just straight up racing to the game for the online.
Yep.
Rainbow Six evolved over time from being just a very generic multiplayer, non-single player game to an amazing experience that continues to add. And, even though these games don't show up themselves, you have to credit games like The Division for doing the same thing. So The Division was pretty shallow too at first. You had the Dark Zone, you had the main game, but it was still the same thing over and over and over. You ran into PvE stuff, you got in the Dark Zone, and you kind of battle it out with other people. But it's what they bring to the table post-launch that continues to have people playing it.
Right.
This is where Sea of Thieves is. This is where we're at the beginning of this adventure with Sea of Thieves, and it's up to Rare to add that content, and if they don't, they will suffer. But this is the judgment. I don't want to harp on it too much because I harped on it earlier. The judgment on this game to me has been a little bit unfair considering those other games that are out there that are doing that. Elder Scrolls Online is another one. We can go through. This is where our industry is. This is where folks think they can make the best money, and Rockstar has kind of set the stage for it. Ubisoft. Look what they did with Far Cry 5. I looked at that game. I was watching Nathan stream that on our Twitch channel, and all I could think of is, damn, this looks like a reskin Ghost Recon Wildlands. And I don't say that as a knock on the game. Ubisoft understands what they need to do with that game to keep it going.
Yeah, man.
And so, B Money saying kind of where I'm getting at. Ubisoft right now is and Rockstar. Those are the two. They're right now the best two games as a service companies because they understand what the people want and they're giving it to them. And it's up to Rare to follow suit.
Absolutely. Lord Sav, what's your feeling on it?
I think to double down on what Stinger said about specifically Ubisoft and what Money's saying is true. And I think I talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about the Tencent stuff. I think Ubisoft is poised to sort of take at least the people's champion crown away from EA and Activision because of the way they handle these games. They still handle them like they're small games, even though they're these massive games that they continue to want you to come back to. But the way they give you single player DLC. They still give you a season pass, right? But then they give you modes that are more in line with what you would think of as games as a service, right? And then on top of that, they've been able to balance giving you stuff that's cosmetic with stuff that changes the game. Like when you look at Rainbow Six Siege, you get new operators and the new operators function differently, right? But it's not a stat-based thing, right? They give you They give you like different abilities and ways to go about things. And I think that's where Sea of Thieves, to me, has to progress, right? Obviously, when you're trying to make a game that doesn't exclude anybody, like, right? If I could stop playing Sea of Thieves right now, and the way it stands right now, if I come back in a year and go into that game, I'm not necessarily going to be behind anyone, right? I'm not in terms of like progression and stuff like that. I can jump right in.
All cosmetic, right?
Exactly. So to me, what they need to do is figure out within game how you create that loop for people to keep coming back, right? Obviously, they already have the hoarding stuff about it, right? The thieving part about it. That's what people are doing. Like, they have that.
Even is down.
Thieving and grieving.
Yeah, exactly. They have that part down. Obviously, you have to fix certain stuff for like respawning and whatnot to not make it so cheap where, you're continuously trying to kill the same dude. He keeps respawning on his ship, stuff like that. But I think that's where they're going to survive. And I think at first I kind of saw the no progression thing as a detriment, right? Because you look at Destiny, you look at
the Division is a big one.
Exactly. But what I see that what they've done with this game, especially by putting it on Game Pass, where the barrier to entry is possibly very low, it makes it so it's always an appealing option to somebody that's not going to cost them a super amount of time if they don't want to, or a super amount of money if they don't want to. It's always going to be in a very inviting state. So it's just going to be a matter of the content supporting that. And just creating that pirate world, whether it be like, I was thinking about things like, okay, like, put people in a pub together, let them do, whatever, drinking games, or like trying to shoot at each other, or like, stuff like that, like things like that make the world feel more alive and make it feel more piratey.
More populated.
Exactly. Make it feel alive. And I think they'll be fine. And like I said, like if you bought it at $60 and it's not what you expected, I can see that argument. But I think the Game Pass model makes it so that blow is lessened. And I think it's only going to serve to help the game in the future. I see this game in a year being something that we're going to be talking about in a positive light, I think, in a really positive light, I think.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of the most polarizing games, but it's definitely, I see both sides, and I understand, I understand the group that's enjoying it, you know what I mean, and having fun with all the stuff that's currently in the game, and I see the group that says, hey, right now it's not enough for me, and maybe as it continues to evolve, they get all right into it and they get invested. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's a good topic, King. I know I'm keeping you on Easter. You got to cut soon. I know you may have to cut.
I don't celebrate Easter, so
I just want to make sure. I'm
not part of the sweetness.
Okay. Oh my Lord. Let's save this topic. It's good for
you come hang with us, Hebrews. We're all right. We're good. You can't eat any bread right now, but at least you can come hang.
Yeah. And you know what's the best part? I'm not eating bread right now anyway. So
there you go. See, my tribesman. There we go. Hey, we make a great brisket. Come on.
There it is.
Moving right along. Let's save this topic actually for Lord Sting. He's in the building, and I figured he would appreciate this. And also want to shout out to our Lord Editor, Lord Sam Tolbert. He's got a great article right now up on it, and it's the Atari VCS. The details have been revealed for the new Atari retro theme box. So right now it's looking like, it's codenamed the VCS, and basically, the COO basically stated it's a new Atari device that's designed for today's living room. It'll include PC and online entertainment-driven features. There's also going to be some retro aspects to it, like a retro box, micro console kind of thing that consumers may want to do. It has the whole, Atari wood grain retro feel to it. Now, the specs have not been finalized, but we've been privy to some information, and looks like the performance will be comparable to a higher-end PC laptop. It's supposed to be 4K HDR, 60 frames per second. AMD 86 processor, onboard and expandable storage. He's got the Bluetooth bit, the USB 3.0, yada yada yada. So
Cognito, did you mention a graphics card in there?
I did not. I did not see mention of a
that
graphics card.
curiously missing from the whole write-up on the whole article that I read. You know why? Because don't have one.
Well, actually, it's going to be AMD Radeon.
Radeon? Oh,
Yeah.
we getting exclusive from NLG?
But is it? But Stinger, is it an SoC like everything, like a console, or is it going to be from
the look of it, it's going to have to be. I mean, this thing is tiny.
Right.
I don't know how it can. Supposedly that's all that was bled out. And that's actually not an NLG exclusive. That came from CNET. But they don't. But that's all. The only other thing that we know, which may drive a lot of the headroom down, is going to run Linux.
Yes. Yes, that I definitely, and it's definitely supposed to be, people ask about, what type of content will be, the games and stuff like that. Will it be mostly retro? So they said it's supposed to be a variety of them. It's supposed to be, the retro content from Atari reimagined classics, and supposedly they're working with game developers and content creators, looking forward to sharing more details as they come soon. So
my hand is swinging in the air. My hand is swinging in the air.
Look, King, based on the information that we have heard thus far, what are your feelings about the Atari VCS?
There's no place in this world for it. All right? I don't know why they didn't just make somebody. Y'all are a series of terrible decisions. Like somebody over there is in control, and he needs to be put away. Straight jacket around him. Get him out of the room. I really, from the debacle from E.T. It all started with E.T. This is where it went downhill from E.T. Like when we found out about y'all burying cartridges, that let you know it was no returning. You've been trying to get your foot back in the door. Nobody wants you in the living room. It's over. All right.
So this is good old Atari.
No, it's good old Atari. It's gone. You've been replaced. They tried with that link.
King.
They tried with it. Yeah, go ahead.
Where did you learn to fly?
No, you didn't.
See, this is what I'm talking. You are part of understanding a series of terrible choices. Now, Stinger said he heard that there's a GPU inside the box. I heard there's not. So, I'm telling you this. Scrap all of this crap. Scrap it. Scrap this vaporware. Put this away. Sell controllers for your app. Make an app to play retro Atari games. This is where your money is at, right? Make an app for retro Atari games, put it on everybody's system, and sell controllers. Sell controllers that work with your games, and you can come out with some little marketing technique about it. Works best with an old school Atari controller. I don't care how you spin it. Do not put this crap out here. Nobody's buying it. You
don't see it as a place, because they said that they see it as a place that parents want their kids to play Netflix and watch Netflix and stuff like that. So this is going to be where literally the PC for your TV, where the screen is your main interface.
Shady Acres is a place where old gamers go to die. All right, I'm telling you this right now. This is your death package. That's your death package. They give you that when you're on your way out. Do not take that severance package. Stay far away from the Atari VCS. It's over. You're not capturing the magic. Somebody in here is yes.
The guy handing it to you has a black robe and a sickle.
It's the death package. Stay away. It's not viable. It's not you know what? And they say they like to tell you stuff like 4K, 60 frames per second. They heard somebody else say it. Don't listen to them.
Well, of course, Missile Command can run at that. I mean,
you have no respect. You gonna put respect on Atari name, kid. You can't be doing this.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna break it down this way. Stinger, are you buying it?
The Lemony Snicket console? No. All right, look. Hold on.
Go.
The nostalgia hit me for about 5 minutes, and I mean,
Then Common Sense walked in the door. Tell Common Sense I said hello.
Right. And
You have
right,
to part with $200. Are you buying it?
Not a chance.
All right. See, that's Sovereign. Are you buying it?
Not at $200.
I don't. Give me a price that you'll purchase it
What
at.
if they announce like you getting every 20?
I don't care. Would you buy it? You gave yourself the stipulations. Would you buy it?
It depends on that price. If they talking over 250, nah, I can't.
What's a price that you will purchase?
$49.99.
Yeah, like it gotta be. But see, the problem is they've already locked themselves into this PC ecosystem kind of a deal. So it's like
it's $49.99, right?
And
You purchase at $49, right?
And someone has to remaster ET.
Okay, HDR, ET.
When you were 7 years old, that game is great. When you are,
you literally fell in the hole and you couldn't get out. Stop that! I have horrid nightmares about that game. I purchased that game. All right.
I'm sorry.
Hey, you don't want that 64-bit 4K.
You said.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We did the math back then.
Back then, it equals 64.
We did the math, and except for Tempest 2000,
yes,
that now
that was 16-bit system.
That was not. No. That was better.
It was chips stacked on top of each other.
Break it down, Sting. Break it down.
No, there were like 2.5 good games for the Jaguar.
Oh no.
There
We have horror stories about that system.
Yeah, there was Tempest 2000.
Was it Alien vs Predator, right?
Alien vs Predator, which was unbelievable, and Defender 2000.
Did you see what Aliens vs Predator looks like right now, Stinger? Certain games hold up over time. Did you go back to really look at what it is? I thought we were starving. You know how when you're sitting at a table and nobody feeds you, they've been feeding you like rice grains for 2-3 years, and then they actually put a piece of bread on the table, and you're like, oh my God, it's the greatest piece of bread that I've ever had in my life. Go back and look at that Aliens versus Predator and understand exactly why they gave you a giant taller bowl as a CD player for that system.
It did look like a bidet.
That was a $250 screensaver. Is what that was.
Thank you. I'm listening. I'm in the camp of knowing crap when I see it. All right, and I'm in that camp. All right, I know. Listen, I will buy anything. I have a Wonder Swan. I have a Wonder Swan regular. I have a Wonder Swan color, and I have a Wonder Swan Switch.
Tell me you have an N-Gage.
Yes, of course, I got that.
Right,
yeah,
there you go.
I couldn't sell it. It still is.
Why you have it?
I tried to sell it, and just nobody brought it. Listen to me, man. Is somebody over in this Sony camp? I don't know if it's Mark Tremol. I don't know who's all. I mean, in this Atari camp, so looking like Sony. Like I want it to be something Sony. I want them to say they purchased these dudes. Somebody is controlling the purse strings over there, and I heard it was supposed to be crowdfunded or something. Yeah, something's going on.
Get into that's where they lost me.
Just go into the whole gist of this crap so we can really get past it. And I don't want to talk bad about Atari because it's like talking bad about your grandpa. Right? I love Grandpa. Grandpa is a beautiful thing for us. But when Grandpa gets crazy and senile and he's running around naked in the street, we gotta lock him up. Okay? Right now, he's running naked in the street, and this is not a good look for us. He's embarrassing us.
He's embarrassing us.
Oh my Lord.
Lord Salva, let you finish this thing off, man. Before we wrap up.
Just to get into the weeds onto why this really is not a great idea, right? So first of all, the crowdfunded thing is it just shows you don't have confidence in what you're bringing to the table, and nobody else had enough confidence in it to give you money to do it. That's one, right?
That's what that is.
That's what that is.
That's what that is. That's one, right? The whole
failed on Shark Tank.
The whole lack of
savage.
the whole lack of a graphics card thing, you know what? For something that small, you're looking at an SoC, the same thing as what you have in the Xbox, the same thing as what you have in the PlayStation. The thing with that is, right, they compared it to a high-end laptop these days, right? A high-end laptop these days, that's misleading because a high-end laptop these days is running a desktop GPU. It's nothing different to it, right? So let's say it's running a 1050 or 1060, right? So it's capable of something in the range of, you know, vanilla Xbox One or something. Vanilla Xbox One to Xbox One S or something like that, or maybe PS4 Pro stuff. But again, this is something that's bringing the price up. Right. The price is a big deal for this because, again, they're trying to compete with other companies that already have stuff in this space. Like if you're talking about an all-inclusive 4K machine, like, you know, you already have Amazon, you already have Apple that has these sort of all-in-one sort of machines that are still trying to give you gaming on that too. So you have people with more, and then when you look at Xbox and PlayStation, these are ecosystems that have a lot more robust offerings than they would have. So you're telling me now that you're gonna have to create another storefront that I'm gonna have to buy from. It's not happening unless you get Steam and you get Steam and you get Netflix on board and maybe you get Microsoft on board to have the Microsoft Store on there or something like that. Good luck with that. Like, yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things. Like you're gonna have to convince people that from the ground up you built this thing that they should be confident in. Then you look at other stuff like, you know, like the Linux stuff is cool because it's open ended. I know they had something where they were gonna let people like a sandbox, so to speak, where they were going to let people like make homebrew and stuff like that. Yeah, that's cool, but that leaves you wide open to blowing everything out and like and being a PSP and like people modding it left and right. So I mean, there's so much stuff there. To be honest, man, this is what they needed to do. If they were going to do this, they should have gone the NES Mini and the NES Mini route. Make one thing, give me something for like $60 that has all the Atari 2600 games on it, that looks like an Atari 2600, a one-shot deal, and then the next year do it with
that. They have that.
Yeah, but I mean a real one, like a real one.
What they got, Sting?
They got the anniversary edition. They do have that actually. No, I'm serious. You can buy. It's called the Atari Flashback. You can buy it. It's got.
We've seen these. I've seen these. The one, but it's not. Is it the console or is it just like I know that some that have the controller and the games are all in the controller?
No. There's a It's called the Atari Flashback 8. It has 105 games. It's a plastic version of the console, but it's got two regular joysticks. It's an emulator like everything else. It's the same company that makes the Genesis one and the they have like a handheld version. You know, and honestly, they do make the Flashback classics for Xbox, PS4. You can get these games on
a console.
Console.
No, absolutely. I ain't gonna lie though. If they got some Lynx games, I might have to take a double look.
If they want to sell you, to me, if they want to sell you on the nostalgia of their brands and the things that they have, I think that's the way to go. And then, like next year, you could do a 5200 because not many people had a 5200. And then a 7800, then an Atom or something like that. Like
I think if you're gonna do that and you're gonna charge that much money, Atari is gonna have to remaster these games.
Yes.
Like they're going to have to bring new versions, like a new, it's one thing to just throw Centipede from the 1980s onto this thing and charge you $250 for it. They're going to have to do like they did, like the Dreamcast has a 3D version of Centipede that they remade. They're going to have to remaster that and bring it. They're going to have to make new games. Make this the console. Make this the console that you bring your Test Drive Unlimited back on.
Right.
Make this the console that you get into your. This would work. So this would work if Atari's IPs are pretty vast. People don't remember them because again, they're not as we're talking about in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely.
But they had games like Adventure. They had combat. Imagine bringing a tank combat game back into this era Imagine taking some of those IPs that you have and remaking them for today. Imagine a brand new 3-dimensional Breakout. Those are games. Now you do that, and that's where your games go. You could sell that.
Lord King is not there with you.
He's not there.
I said it. No, hold on. Hold on.
They did say they're going to be remastering these games, so they plan on bringing them forward.
I'm dead over here. I am so dead. Nobody buying no Breakout.
No, hold on. Wait. Tell me you would not jump at a brand new Asteroids or a brand new Missile Command or a Combat.
King's the wrong one to talk about this.
That's where we
I'm not jumping because we have those games already. They're just under different monikers. I'm telling you.
Who makes the Asteroids clone?
Because you know why it's not good to have a new Asteroids? Shooting rocks is not fun. Right? So that's not fun. So what they did was they said they put it in like a Star Commander thing, and you go from place to place and world to world. It's called No Man's Sky. All right. Now,
great segue.
Great segue, by the way.
Yes, and it's coming out on Xbox and 4K native at 60 frames per second. The whole package. The PlayStation guys previewed it, and we got it out of the preview program, and we got the whole package. It's the Asteroids 2 No Man's Sky edition. Listen. Those antiquated games are not in this marketplace. I don't want to hear about no new Pitfall. I don't want to hear about none of this stuff. It's called Tomb Raider. It's called Tomb Raider, and we got it already. We do not need this old. Listen, Grandpa is running around naked, and we got to stop it now. Okay? We got to nip it in the butt.
You can't be a brand new Pitfall, man.
Let me ask you this last thing. Do you think it's just because shout out to Eggman in the chat, he said his old Geezer Lord podcast is full of the thing is, do you think, Lord, let me ask you an honest question, because Eggman actually made me think about it, which is like, do you think because we have this close attachment to these companies and these games and these brands that we are not thinking outside the bubble, where like a younger generation, like a Lord Addict and these kids out here would not even care less. These titles would not even have that same meaning to them. Do you think that maybe we may be kind of living in a vacuum a little bit?
I think what we're living is in a world where handheld now. That they hold your hand from start to finish, and they pat you on the butt when you do well. That people, I don't think people could handle a Yar's Revenge these days. I think they would play it for 5 seconds and go, I don't know what I'm doing, and then they would stop because we are so trained. What just happened?
You there? I can hear you.
Okay, no, we have a visitor.
Are there? Naked,
we got a visitor in the building. Is that Lord Worry?
I heard there were naked grandpas here.
Lord Worry's in the building.
I can't even get him on my show, and here he comes running to the Iron Lord.
Debuted into the realm of the Lord. Lord Worry, how you doing, sir?
That's why I did this, because I knew it would make Mike have a heart attack if I joined this one.
Damn you.
So we're talking about Atari, Lord Worry. Did you hear about the VCS?
Tell him why. Tell me why. Tell me. Come on, let it go.
What are your thoughts on this? You have OG fame.
I liked Atari a long time ago. I have certain nostalgia for them, but it's 2018. I don't know what they would do to get me to buy a. How much is that now? $300 or?
Well, right now they're still trying to determine the price. Yeah, they're still trying to determine the price, but they're trying to go with this whole PC with a Linux OS and also a retro. Yeah, also a retro console feel. So, with that eventually about the old games that came out.
So what are they gonna? So it's running Linux, but it's gonna run PC games off of Steam.
No.
Yeah, we have no idea. They haven't said anything.
They haven't said anything about that, but you would assume that they'd get Steam on there. But Yeah.
No, I wouldn't assume that. Who knows?
They should get Steam on
Tell
there.
you, if this thing was made by Apple, Worried be all over it.
Oh yeah.
He's the Apple
Absolutely.
guy.
Absolutely, you're right. I have no desire. I really don't have any desire to buy the Atari box at all.
No.
Thank you. That is for people that ain't buying it. This is what I'm talking about. They don't have a market. Do you think they have a market?
What would the market be?
Yeah, that's the
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah, that's the question.
There is no market. Wouldn't it be better if they were an app?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Well, there
app-
is an Atari app where you could play all the old games if you download the app on Android, Apple, iOS, whatever you have it on. They have that.
Really?
Yeah, they have. There's an app. There's a mobile app now where you can play. You can play Asteroid, Centipede, Missile Command. You can play all those old games.
I'm on their website playing them right now.
Yeah,
Atari.com.
So what would be the point of buying a box to play them then?
Thank you.
That's a good point.
My point was remaking it. If they were wanting to be successful, if they wanted a formula to be successful with
Sell me on that.
They would have to dip into their catalog and remake some of these games. We talk about we don't want old games, and yet we talk about we don't want old games, yet we're buying the latest Tomb Raider anyway. How old is Tomb Raider?
But it's not Tomb Raider from PS1. It's a brand new Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not Atari old though.
How would you make a brand new Centipede?
Well, so in the Dreamcast day, they did it by turning it into a 3D game.
Okay. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it would work to me to play a Centipede or a Missile Command or.
Well, let me ask you this, Lord Worry. What about from a standpoint of just if they came from the standpoint of just attacking?
Well, hold on. Before you ask me that, I'll tell you what will work, Stinger. I'll tell you what absolutely will work for Atari if they do this. If you can buy an Atari box and it comes with a naked grandfather, it's a day one buy.
You made Lord happy.
Listen. And then what you do is you open the front door and just let them run down the block, nigga.
Right. Because when you're old, you can do whatever you want. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, right?
So needless to say, this does not appeal to Lord Worry from a standpoint of even from a retro console. If they just went that route, we wouldn't even be interested.
I'd gladly pay for
they have
a
an
compilation
Atari
on the
console.
Switch.
Yeah, I think they came out with an Atari retro console a few years ago.
Let's go.
Flashback.
It actually looked like the 2600, I think.
Yeah, it was the old one. They were selling it, and that's the reason why Toys R Us went out of business.
They went out of business.
They bet heavy on that Atari crap. They went out of business right along with Atari. Now they go fund me too.
I thought what was interesting in the press statement. I got the press guy. He gave me some documents that I was privy to, and it's kind of funny because some of the questions that they were asking, it was like, some people have complained about the pricing. Why is it closer to the game consoles? As far as the current ones, as opposed to the micro consoles. And then they asked them, what truly sets Atari VCS aside from these other consoles? And the answer, no lie, gentlemen, is it's new and it's from Atari. That was their response to the press.
Like the name holds weight. Like they name it Christmas bells. Like they've been ringing bells these last couple of years. Yeah, the wrong bells. You've been ringing them gong bells. Like good for business, man. Ever since EP, it's been bad business.
It just showed me, that statement just showed me a little bit of how out of touch they are. And I was shocked. Like I showed up. I'm going to show the other lords a couple of these questions that were asked by the press. To these guys at the GDC, and it just to have the audacity to have that kind of a statement. It's new and it's from Atari, so you should want it. And I'm just like, wow. Look,
it reminds me of when your parents say, "Cause I said so."
Lord Sting, what do you feel about Atari's new attitude coming out? Sting, you there?
Who you asking?
I'm asking Sting.
Stinger.
Yeah, he's still there? Oh, we lost him for a little bit.
He got trapped in Atari world.
He got sucked in his.
I think he's muted. He muted himself.
I was told that I was muted.
There you go.
Yeah. Apparently, though, you guys didn't like me talking about Atari because I said you have been muted.
What did you feel about that statement?
Guys, we're old and we suck now, so please, buy our stuff. Of course they're gonna do that. Everybody does that. Look, they're going to play on their nostalgia. I get it. My point wasn't that I'm gonna buy this thing because I'm expecting them to do this.
Mhm.
I was asking the simple question of, would you want that? I was saying that Atari's strategy to work.
Mhm.
For Atari strategy to work, they've got to dip into that catalog and remake these games for a modern time.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that they could just put Missile Command and Lunar Lander on this thing and go to town. I'm saying that they would have to do what they did. Like I said, I used Centipede as the example. When the Dreamcast came out, they brought Centipede out. They didn't just throw Centipede on the screen. They made it a 3D adventure game that was a little more open world. It was, you did things. You didn't just shoot at stuff coming at you.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that they would have to figure out how to do for a modern console if they were going to try to make that work in this market. Otherwise, I'm with Lord King. We don't have there's no place in the.
I have a question.
Because
I'm not really up on what they're doing. Is Atari trying to be relevant in the modern console space, or are they just trying to make a nostalgic console that you can also maybe play some PC games on?
Actually,
what are the specs of this thing?
Yeah,
I think it's a combo.
It's a combo because it's not just a retro console. They're actually trying. They're saying when people are asking them questions about the games, they say no, it's a completely new Atari device designed for today's living room that will include PC and online entertainment-driven features that distinguish it from other products.
Are there any specs on the system?
Yes. Well, what we have right now is performance will be comparable to a higher end PC laptop, 4K HDR, 60 frames per second, AMD x86 processor, onboard and expandable storage. And then, there's still no talk of a video card per se in the initial document, but according to Lord Sting, he's what you said. You said it would definitely be, was it NVIDIA? I forgot what you said.
NVIDIA Radeon or AMD Radeon.
Radeon, right. So that's what we're hearing right now. So there are some specs. They're saying they're still going to finalize it as it comes, as we get closer to April, and that's when they're supposed to have a public pre-order date.
Whenever we've had 4 consoles in a generation, one has gone bye-bye. So I don't know how that's going to work.
How's Microsoft going to survive this?
You said how Microsoft is going to survive this? What the hell did you just say? Did the dementia just spread into your headset? Did you just gain dementia by proxy?
I knew
what the
I
hell
would
is
get that reaction
going on
from you,
here?
so I had to do it.
Like I literally was looking at a 4K image, and I can't. Yep. The dementia is spreading. It is spreading. You got to stop this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Move on,
I don't even know why we entertaining this topic.
Let's shout out the little Viper Strike. You said they're trying to replace the Ouya.
Right. That's because it's Atari, and you'll put that respect in that name.
That's right.
That's what they said. Put that respect on it. They haven't put respect on their name since ET. We don't leave that alone.
Look, gentlemen,
I don't know if there are enough people left. But, how Nintendo comes out with their retro consoles, and older people in gaming now still remember the old Nintendo games, and they do well. I don't know if there are enough older people who are going to see Atari and back it. I don't know.
That demographic may be gone already, huh, Lord Worry?
Yeah, we're ready to die now.
They might see that package and start running naked because that's the guest package.
And on that note,
naked grandpa and all games are off. All bets are off.
We're gonna move on, gents. We're gonna skip the No Man's Sky time. Obviously, we know what's going on. Obviously, No Man's Sky and a couple of PS.
Well, how many of you guys are buying it?
I am.
I'm
excited for it.
I'm getting it.
I'm actually gonna get the finished product.
I'm getting it only because of
beta
that next.
testing for you, right?
The beta testing. I'm gonna get it for that next DLC because it's having that free update. There's supposed to be a lot of game changes that's happened since then. There's about 2 or 3 updates.
And it has single player.
Yeah, I know, right? And well, I wonder if you'll be actually able to meet other adventurers in the game.
Well,
I
you
don't
would
know
be
if
on Xbox servers.
Oh, continue, Low Worry. Trolling. Good, Low Worry. What you saying?
I don't think that you'll be able to meet people only because of the fact that I played it when it came out on the PlayStation, and it's just it's so vast that it's hard to meet people, which is kind of a benefit and a weakness to the game.
Gotcha.
Because you do want to be social with it, but I don't know. I'm not really a big on social gaming anyway, so the single player add-on to me was something I'd be into. It's more of what I want out of Sea of Thieves, where I can just go out and explore on my own and discover things. So I'm a little bit more excited for that.
I'm actually
on the Xbox.
I agree. I'm actually interested. Lord Sting, what you feeling on it? You interested?
I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't bite on it on the PlayStation. I wasn't. It seemed like a walking flying simulator, and I wasn't keen on it then. I'm not sure I'm keen on it now. Okay. I think if you really wanted to make this work for me, I'd after a couple months I might put it in Game Pass. You put it in Game Pass, I'd give it a look.
It'll be there. It'll be there.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point. Lord Soft, what do you feel? Are you interested?
Yeah, like I didn't bite on the PlayStation, and it's one of those games that I don't have time to play structured games that much, so a game where I have to make my own fun. It's hard for me to get into, but I may have it by proxy anyway, because I think Kaibatsu is getting it.
Yeah, Kaibatsu's probably gonna get it.
Yeah, so.
Lord King, are you happy that the beta testing period's over?
Yeah, listen, I don't game share, so I don't get the benefit of all the free stuff. But what I do is I sit back and I watch and I listen to all the stuff that people talk about. And the game did have me excited for the PlayStation. And then once the game came out and the embargo lifted and they said they didn't find a single soul playing the game, I said, well, maybe there's no one that purchased the game. Then I was like, no, a lot of people purchased it because I seen a lot of complaints, right? So after a period of time, I always kept my eye on the game because I was interested in the game. And then I've seen it turned, it morphed into what the developers were trying to initially get to us. And I think with the next update, they're getting closer to that reality of that grandioso thing that they was talking about. I truly believe that on different servers that actually work and that's never down.
Lord, here we go.
And this is not going at Sony. We all know that they're using PlayStation 2 servers. Okay, we're gonna get past that part. But what I'm saying is,
now you're a proponent of
Azure. Yeah, with the power of the cloud. Maybe we might see 2 or 3 space travelers in the galaxy, and that way it'll be worth it for me. I'm not gonna play a single player mode.
They did add a new planet to the game for the Xbox that you can visit. The planet's called DX12.
DX12.
Yeah. You can mine for ray tracing.
Yes.
I'm done with you two. I cannot have you two.
Awesome.
I'm with you guys. I mean, I'm definitely interested. I mean, the next thing, the DLC called Next, it actually has some stuff in there. Foundation update, Pathfinder update. We'll see. Let's see how it goes. So hopefully, I will say this: it's depending on how it's priced for me. Because if they try to $60 it, I don't know. I have to agree with Sting on
It's
that.
out of the preview program. It's gonna be 60. You didn't get it.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can stomach 60 for it.
It's still $60 on the PlayStation Network.
Wow.
Well, we know they don't
sell it. Yeah, they're gonna sell this at full price. That's why I said if they don't put this in the Game Pass, I don't know. I don't know how well it's gonna do. Honestly, I mean, yeah, there's some people that have been pining for it. You know, like little Johnny who wrote him the letter.
Oh my Lord! Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he said, please make it for Xbox and hit a home run for me.
Oh my! You're savage, thing.
Right? You know, I thought it was funny. You know, his business partner probably wrote that note. You know,
exactly.
There's a few people that are going to buy this because it's 4K, it's going to be HDR, it's going to be enhanced with the X. But you know, the game also launched 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
I mean, how much are people really pining for this game?
You are talking about games that launched almost 50 years ago, and you want to update them.
But they're games. I'm not
you
talking.
just gave me a 2-year-old game and said, "I don't think I'm interested." I give up.
Look, hey Mike.
Do I fall? Can I fall into a pit in this game?
Hey, if it took No Man's Sky 2 years to mature and add content to it, I'm thinking of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see Sea of Thieves on the PS5, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You said PS5. The dementia is spreading.
Somebody's grandfather is naked.
There's another naked grandpa running around.
Oh God!
We gotta wrap this thing up. We got a lot of people got responsibilities. But just to finish up real quick, new ILP poll this week in tune with the topic. With the recent release of the PlayStation exclusives like No Man's Sky and Hellblade now coming to the Xbox platform, does this give you extra incentive to pick them up? A, no. Been there, done that on PlayStation already.
Hellblade is a great game, though.
Hellblade's great.
Get it.
Yeah.
You should play it.
Yes, but only with enhancement or extra content. Or C, I don't care unless it's a bigger Sony franchise. That is the question. Those are the choices. Please.
Oh, you should have D.
What's D?
I mean, you should have D. You should have. I'm getting it to spite Sony.
Oh my
God! Oh God!
Please rock the phone and hit the ILP Twitter polls out when it goes up.
The views expressed by Lord King do not necessarily reflect
the opinions of the ILP. Lord Stinger, an absolute pleasure.
This has been realm. Oh my God! This has been fantastic, and if we keep going a little longer, we can hit that 3-hour mark, boys.
Oh, you gotta kill me. You gotta kill me. I got Easter dinners to do. But absolute pleasure, man.
Thank
NLG,
you guys so much.
Huge respect, man. Love what you guys are doing. Love the retro stuff. Love that you're educating the youth out here about what gaming is supposed to be about. And we had to make the treaty happen.
We did.
Where can the people find you? And obviously, we know NLG. None tonight. But what's your
we won't be on right. So we won't be on tonight. In out of respect for the Easter holiday and the folks who are doing what they're doing. You'll find us on Twitch mostly, which is twitch.tv/OG_NL Gaming. And we could also, if you also follow us on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming, we post a lot of that stuff there. We are on, our podcast is Sunday nights. From 9 p.m. to roughly 2 in the morning. We're usually on till about 11.
That's right.
We need to bring the Iron Lords to our kingdom.
Absolutely, Lord, that has to happen.
That has to happen.
Sunday is the Lord's Day.
Yes, it is.
We have to make that happen.
Yes.
Also, super shout out to Lord Worrywart in the building, man. Such a pleasure to have him on.
Thank you.
Huge fan of this guy. He got great opinions on Twitter, man. Love his takes on stuff. Lord Worry, where can people find you? When can we?
Nowhere. Don't look. Don't look. I'm nowhere.
His alter ego, Speederman.
I will be nowhere. I will be on Twitter, and then that's it.
And that's it.
Nowhere, Sky.
No gamer tag. No nothing.
My gamer tag, Worrywart. My dog shit channel, Worrywart. And that's about it.
Which we love, man. Please follow this guy on Twitter, man. Great perspectives on gaming. This guy's been around. He knows what's going on out here. And
I'm old. I can't wait for that Centipede remake.
He's in line. He's first in line.
Wait, Michael Monkey Punch. There he is. Lugo, bring back Pit Fighter. My man. My man.
I'm with that
right
one.
There, my man.
That was like first digitized kind of graphic.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Oh god, it was so horrid.
It was good on the links too. I had it for the links too.
Oh.
But once again, shout out to Lord Worrywart, man. Much appreciated, man. Good to see you active out here in these gaming streets.
Thank you,
Lord
for
Sovereign. Where can the people also not find you? You're also Illuminati. Where can the people not find you?
Not next week. Next week I'm gonna be online. I gotta finish this way out and play some Sea of Thieves. So I'll be online next week. But yeah, big shout out to Lord Stinger and Lord Worrywart for joining us on this geriatric edition of the Iron Lord podcast.
This is really a geriatric version. You have two 70-year-olds.
I'm done. Oh my God.
You can catch me on PSN, Xbox Live, or BX Sovereign, and I'll be online next week, man. Gotta finish this a way out.
Thank you for blessing us with your online presence. It's always a pleasure to have you as a guest on the ILP. Lord King, money making gamers. What is it? What's the
Getting money gamers.
Getting money gamers. Your intro will be updated, Lord. It will be updated. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, what is it? Snapchat, everything.
All the young
Everything
boy
right
stuff.
about now. It's gonna get crazy because it's gonna be on Portal and all this other stuff. This week we're at PAX, guys, and what I would like for you to do is I would like, if you're interested in any game and you would like me to capture any footage on any specific game, hit me in a DM on Twitter. I will definitely take the time out to get at least 2 to 3 minutes on your game.
Absolutely.
Give you an overview on the game. Sundays is going to be our run-through game. Run-through days, we are fully booked from the day we get there. We're going to hit the ground running.
Work.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you guys.
So, I'm raising my hand, in case you can't see me. I'm raising my hand here. I want
the messenger.
I want King and Addict to specifically focus on Switch games.
No.
Do me a favor, give me a couple minutes on that Atari VCS.
Yeah, the VCS.
Listen, if it's at the show and you inbox me, I will make a permanent note in my brain, and I will write it down. I will go to your game, and I will definitely talk about it.
There's a request in the chat. Lord Viper Strike says, King, go find and check out Lightfall. So that's the request.
All right. Hit me on Twitter like I just told you, and then I will take note because I'm not taking note right now. See, I told you that. Follow directions.
Damn.
Damn. Cold in my boy, Lord Viper Strike.
Listen, Viper knows he follows me. I follow him back more than likely. That's 100%. Hit me in the DM. I got you.
All right, no doubt. That's definitely it. Lords will be there. Also, I want to, before I forget, I want to salute to our good friend, Lord Eric Jacobus, for landing the role of Kratos, the God of War. We are very proud of him. He's a certified gamer. Check out ILP number 33. He was on the show. This guy is retro to the core. He knows his gaming. This is one of the best stunt guys.
And he can beat you up. So
he's one of the best martial artists.
He will beat you up.
and super humble. He's done the entire Tekken move list. Go check out his channel. Eric Jacobus, salute, man, for landing that relationship with Santa Monica Studios and being the new Kratos for the generation. These kids are not ready. It's going to be good, man. So last but not least, like Lord King said, the Lords will be in Boston and PAX East. There's most likely not going to be an ILP next week because of traveling and schedule like that. But we got some surprises cooking, like Lord King said. So please stay tuned. It's going to be fun, y'all. And everybody.
There's not going to be a podcast next week because this week you had two 70-year-olds on it.
Also, I'm gonna be tomorrow.
I'm
gonna be posting up the new T-shirts on Twitter. Hit me in the DM. Price and stuff will be inside there. I got you. It's going to be the PAX exclusive T-shirts, so it's definitely going to be something that you definitely want to watch. New
Do we got anything for the geriatrics too? We got anything?
Oh yeah. We got you. Listen, we're gonna put
respect everyone in the community.
ILP branded depends.
As you can see, my T-shirts. My T-shirts last, gentlemen. My T-shirts last 20 years plus. I'm good.
We're going to put a T-shirt on Grandpa so he's not running completely naked. Free advertisement.
And on that note, we are out of here, gentlemen. Enjoy your Sunday. Happy Easter. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Have a good night, y'all.
Man, play on, gamers.
Peace.